In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
Let's go.
This is Blood Politics.
Hit that thumbs up real quick.
And we gonna do what we
get
gotta
this
do.
party started, huh?
Because ain't nobody else gonna.
What do you say we get this party started? Welcome everybody to the Friday edition of the Blunt Politics podcast. I do appreciate you for joining me. The podcast where we just kind of utilize any and all things at our disposal to try to keep up to speed, up to date on the craziness going on both inside of our own country and abroad. What do you say you hit that like button as you join in? What's going on, guys? Filter in. Welcome, one and all. What's going on, chat? Love to see you guys up and at 'em. Love to see you guys ready to rock and roll. What's up, the Hamill household? Appreciate you guys. Tom and Victoria, very much appreciated. You guys should be checking out Victoria's novels that she's got going on, too. I'll see if we can get that link in the chat at some point. What's going on, mods? How are you guys? What's up, Tiff? What's up, Teague? How are you guys? Appreciate you, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch. Make sure you hit the respective buttons. I don't know if it's a like, a thumbs up. I don't know if it's a bit, a twit. I don't know what it is. Just make sure you hit the positive things. And even if you don't like the show, hit the thumbs down. Give us a bad comment. I think that's even good for the old interaction, for the old algorithm anyway. So do us a favor and just interact in some way, shape, or form. I do appreciate you guys once again for being here. What do you say? What do you say? How you doing, chat? What's up, Jackie? What's up, Roxanne? What's up, Leron? What's going on, Bingo? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Yakov? What's up, Dame? You guys are the best. What's up, Jay? Let's go. Forrest, what's happening, Chief? What's going on? Speaking of Twiggy, what's up there? What's going on Twitch? I see you over there. What's up, Greg? All right, let's hit that like button. We got a lot to discuss as usual. I mean, the stuff is just, it comes in so fast and so heavy. It's impossible to keep up to speed with all of it, but we're going to try our best today. We got a couple more updates from OSINT Defender on what's been taking place. Obviously, we were talking about the 6 U.S. service members that lost their life in the KC-135 refueling accident. As we've been talking about, doesn't necessarily take the enemy striking you, doesn't necessarily take enemy interaction in order for bad things to happen and loss of life to occur when wars like this take place. So we got a lot of that to cover. We got a couple clips from ABC kind of detailing and telling us what we know up to now as far as that, the KC-135 incident is concerned. We also have more coming in from like updates as far as Lebanon, how many people have been displaced, what's taking place over there. So we'll be diving into that as well. We got videos from Tim Pool. We got videos from Benny Johnson again, our 2 favorite morons to make fun of. It doesn't seem like they're too happy. And again, it doesn't seem like their vote for Donald Trump and this administration is paying off for them the way they thought it was going to. So not only that, we had a couple videos here. We got one from Breaking Points where they speak to somebody who runs a popular Substack and has some pretty good insight into what the air campaign means, what we're looking at going forward into this, kind of the mistakes made so far by this regime and what they kind of overlooked as far as kind of retaliation, threats in retaliation, secondary impacts to this strike that they incurred. I got one good video here. I'm not familiar. Let me throw this on the screen because I'm not familiar with this gentleman, but I did love the video that he had put out here. Let me see if I can throw this up there for you guys. Maybe you guys will recognize him. Maybe you guys are familiar with his content. I am not. Rashad Crenshaw. And he's got a video out there right now. He's got 64,000 subscribers. And he's got a video out there. Donald Trump has lost this war. And I thought it was pretty well done. I thought it was pretty insightful. It seems like he has some sort of military background. I only jumped into like a couple minutes of it. Thought it would be good for us to watch together. So I got a couple clips of that as well. What else are we going to be going through? We got some clips from our favorite neighborhood Russian, Roman, talking about how Russians are not happy. We got more insights and updates from Preston Stewart as far as tactic changes. As far as Ukraine is concerned, we got a whole lot to jump into today. What do you say we start off? Oh, let me get this. I'm sorry. The chat's in my face. My apologies. But you guys, again, like I always say, you deserve some screen time too. So covering my face is cool. And pause. There's a pause in there somewhere. All right. What do you say we dive into the first story that I wanted to talk about? And if you will, let me, indulge me. Let me kind of get into some, I don't know what you'd call it, internet drama. Maybe I'm kind of like patting myself on the back here, kind of like an I told you so, as far as something that we showed on the podcast. It showed on the show a few weeks ago, I think it was at this point, but I don't know. Maybe you guys will remember. Maybe you won't remember. But do you remember when the I've Had It podcast had both Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian on? And we kind of had some criticism for Jen and Pumps. My kind of criticisms were it doesn't seem to me, and my guesstimates were that they don't really watch these things. They actually have no idea really who these people are. They don't know any of the backstories about them, but they just know and probably have been told by their PR people, by the people that set up the shows and stuff, that they run prominent channels, that they're very prominent and featured in different things, and maybe have gotten to see a couple of the videos done recently by these people. But we all had some criticism, and rightfully so, because none of the bullshit and the shift to the right was kind of addressed as far as I was concerned. But good to see here, and we're going to use shout out to the Vanguard here for putting this together. Good friends over there at the Vanguard. Make sure you hit them over there with the subscription and a like. They do some pretty good work as far as calling out this stuff is concerned. But the I've Had It podcast. Jen had a conversation with Francesca Fiorentini, who previously obviously used to work at TYT, now killing it on her own. Shout out to the Bituation Room and Francesca Fiorentini. But she was kind of not holding back, let's just say. Not Francesca. I know it seems weird, but she always has her pops and her shots to get in there. But Jen was not holding back. Apparently, she and the rest of the show read the comments. Not only that, but saw some of the videos that were made in response and how pissed off people were that not only they were platformed on their show, but the questions didn't really relate to kind of the right-wing slide that these people have been doing, and, kissing up to Tucker Carlson and defending the rest of these fucking pricks and all the shit that we know about Anna and bashing trans people and, the whole 9 yards. But again, she talked to Fran Fio here, and I just want to get you to listen to a little bit of the coverage here, because boy, Jen does not hold back, and it definitely seems like that we were right as far as she not really watching these types of shows. I think she pretty much admits it here, like she's not really into watching other podcasts, live streams, or anything like that. She really wasn't too familiar with what was going on, so I think we were kind of right on the show and on our take that it was just her not being familiar with these people. But check this coverage out. Check out how brutally honest Jen is here about her conversation with Anna and the backlash that she received with both her and Cenk too. Check this out.
It is. And look, the invitation's always open for Anna to come on my show. I've invited her to talk to me. I've had Cenk on to debate. I think the reason they wanted to go on yours, it's because you guys have a massive platform. And so they wanted some of that shine. They want some of your audience, but I guess your audience already knew what was
hated them. Like, hey,
this isn't very long. It's just a couple minutes of Jen kind of recognizing where they messed up and how they probably should have done a little bit more research. And again, how the comment section really let them have it. So check this. Like I said, just a couple minutes of this.
Ripped. I'm sure that I don't read the comments often, but I did. Kylie was like, hey, you might want to go read these. And I was like,
The Vanguard will be there, sir.
Gavin, I believe the people have been waiting long enough. We've been stoked. We teased it even yesterday. We said, don't go anywhere, guys, because tomorrow we are going to react to good friend of the show, Francesca Fiorentini, going on the I've Had It podcast. She had a great conversation with Jennifer Welch, and if you can believe it, folks, Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian came up not too long into their conversation.
Pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
That was what was crazy about this. It was like, I figured at some point Francesca would bring it up. I didn't expect Jennifer Welch to actually start the conversation by bringing it up, by addressing the elephant in the
Yeah,
room.
I think that's kind of the crazy part too. It wasn't like Francesca had to bring it up. It wasn't like she kind of had to nudge it into the conversation. Like Jen was fucking ready and willing. Like she was ready to go with like, okay, we fucked up. Sorry. Let me address the comment section. You guys were right. Shit, you guys tore us apart. Like even my daughter, I don't know who Kylie is. I'm assuming it's one of their daughters. I think she kind of like produces the show, if I'm not mistaken. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that one, but you can tell she says Kylie was like, I know you don't regularly check out the comment section on these things, but might want to pay attention to this one and also go back to the Junk Yuga comment section and take a look at that one. So again, shout out to the Vanguard for putting this clip together.
Room, which is pretty wild. And I'm really interested to see if Anna and or Jank respond to this themselves, who have now both been on.
Believe me, they're probably gonna love responding to this, considering the kind of the attention that the I've Had It podcast has had lately and the run that they've been on. Obviously having some of the more prominent people inside the political commentary space on their podcast as well, so they're gonna probably love to see if they can get some views and clicks off of this little feud that's been started here. So I have no doubt they'll be all on top of that one.
I've had it, but this is wild. Jennifer Welch is taking the gloves right off and allowing Francesca to spill the tea.
Yup. So this is the very, as Gavin mentioned, the very beginning of their interview. They did about 30 minutes with just Jen and Pumps at the beginning of the show, and then unfortunately Pumps wasn't there for the conversation with Fran. But do you have anything to add before we plow right into this?
Not anything other than that I'm super excited to watch it with you guys. Obviously, Zach and I have become huge fans of Jennifer Welch, Angie Pumps. I've Had a podcast in general. I think it's
and again, shout out to you guys here at the chat too. Shout out to you guys here at the chat because you guys were the ones to originally introduce me to the I've Had It podcast to both Jen and Pumps. So big shout out to the chat here. Big shout out to the community that we've built for keeping me up to speed and up to date. I know there's a lot to try to get into. There's a lot of people doing this, so it's not every day that you can see all of them. You know what I mean? It's not easy to see all of them. So I appreciate you guys keeping me up to speed.
That's newer additions to the lefty media scene. Again, just so thrilled by these ladies' presence on the platform. I love their style. And obviously, Francesca is a friend of the show, and I'm thrilled that she got the invite and the ability to talk about this on such a big platform.
But I want to get to something I think is really interesting. So we had Jank on the podcast of the Young Turks. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't watch design shows. Whatever my job is, I don't, when I'm off work, do those things. And I don't follow online personality drama. And
I think I was kind of right. I think that kind of confirms what I was saying when we kind of went over and, tore apart these interviews and the clips that we were talking about there. Because I was like, it doesn't seem like she has any awareness of this before. It only seems like maybe she was kind of fed a couple videos to say, here, this is who the person is, just so you know a little bit about them. That's kind of what I was getting from the conversation. So it seems like she's kind of confirming that, like, I didn't know. Like, I should have done more fucking research. I should have known better. But, I don't watch this shit. I don't continuously do this all day and then go to watch other people's work. You know what I mean?
Oftentimes don't read a lot of the comments because sometimes they're not super favorable. And I just think I'm going to keep doing this. So Kylie was like, yeah, a lot of people didn't like Jank and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, can't please everyone.
Keep looking at Francesca's face too, as Jen continues to tear into like not only the comments, but both Anna and Jank. Like she almost can't contain herself. She's like, this is fucking great.
Well, then we have Anna Kasparian on. And I went and looked at the comments and everybody in our audience fucking hates her. I've never seen the comment section on this. It's not one, it's not two, it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of comments. And I was just
oh yeah, I'm wondering.
Thousands of comments. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm blocking them out of there. No, that's not the one I want either. What is it? That one. All right, yeah, I didn't want to be blocking them out.
After even only hearing that much, I'm like, did Jennifer check out our video too? I know whoever this Kylie lady is has definitely been recommended our videos before, but I do understand Jen said she doesn't get into the content.
And again, like I said, we don't have to get into too much of this. We don't have to get too deep into it, but she goes on for a little bit to kind of express some outrage in kind of her ignorance of both Jank and Anna and like kind of the vitriol that is behind them right now, especially on the social media space, especially as TYT is concerned. So I just thought we'd kind of start the show off there where we could give ourselves a little pat on the back and at least be like, okay, at least we were right in our criticism. At least we were right in our coverage. And at least Jen is coming around to, what the hell exactly these people are and what they represent and who they support in kind of the 180 that they've done. So again, thumbs up to Jen and Pumps for making the switch, for recognizing their mistakes, calling it out, and having no fucking being not giving any fucks, like not holding anything back as far as calling it out either. Like she goes on to talk about even more how it's like thousands and thousands of comments of people that hate Anna Kasparian, as she put it. It's just, I just figured we'd start it off with a couple of giggles, a couple of laughs on that regard before we get into some of this ridiculous nonsense and craziness that we've having to cover for the last, what are we in, day 13 now? Day 14, 13, something like that, of the war in Iran. So let's take a look at this. We're going to get into some of these updates and some of the things that we need to catch up on here. So this is kind of the OSINT Defender, as we've been talking about, as we talked about in the intro there, coming out with their official announcement for the CENTCOM has now announced the death of all 6 crew members aboard the U.S. Air Force KC-135 stratotanker that crashed yesterday in western Iraq. Following a reported mid-air collision with another KC-135 while supporting Operation Epstein Fury. I do believe that the other KC-135 was able to land, even though it did have and took damage itself. But yes, another 6 U.S. service members added to the death toll, added to the blood on Donald Trump's hands himself. And again, we got a couple clips from Pete Hegseth's comments this morning in which you can clearly see that he's more worried about telling the media how to cover this and what to say than he was about, showing honor or, recognizing the people, the military service members that risked and served and lost their lives again in this collision, in this attack. Well, not the attack, excuse me, but this collision here that resulted in the death of all 6 crew members aboard that KC-135. But this was, again, CENTCOM putting out the confirmation there. And that was, how long ago was this at? This was at 10:35 a.m. March 13th, 2026 is when this was posted. So again, all crew members of the U.S. KC-135 lost in Iraq and confirmed deceased, now again adding to the blood on Donald Trump's hands. But again, there's almost too much to talk about in this regard. There's almost too much to cover, both the lies that we've been told, the incompetency shown by this administration in this attack, how the secondary impacts to the United States and the world economy definitely weren't even considered. And if they weren't considered, you can tell they predicted such a short victory, such a short time spent there, that they wouldn't really have to worry about that. And now, obviously, with the Strait of Hormuz, with all the secondary strikes, impacts, and retaliations, we're continuously seeing that Iran does have the ability to make sure that the world economy still feels the pain, and that the pressure by the different citizens of the countries that are feeling the pain puts pressure on the governments to end this shit. Right. So they don't need a Navy. They don't necessarily need an Air Force. They don't need fucking many missiles or even that many drones to even to continue to cause this fucking chaos, to continue to cause the hurt and economic impact on the world stage that we continue to feel as oil prices right around, let's see here, what do we got? What are they at this moment in time? I can tell you right now, actually. Let's see here. They are WTI is at 97.03. Let me even do a refresh real quick. Nope. Yep, I knew it. They even went up more. WTI is now at 98.66. Brent crude is at 103.2. Murban up to 112, or excuse me, I should say down to 112. But you can see here, definitely not something that is going to be positively benefiting the American people, okay? And not only that, but when we talk about oil prices like this, you're also going to start seeing that affected and impacted on your other goods, okay? So when the trucks deliver the shit to Walmart, or when the trucks deliver the shit to Stop and Shop, that price is going to go up. And guess what? That price is not going to be eaten. That the Stop and Shops, the Walmarts, the Costcos, the rest of these companies and corporations, they're not going to eat those costs, okay? They're going to pass it down to you, the American consumer, the American taxpayer. So not only are you going to be paying more at the pump, which we've seen is something that you're going to look forward to or can expect to look forward to well into April, because it's going to be months before it actually goes down or actually gets back to whatever a normal state is. And then considering, the summer months is when the price goes up, typically in gas, who knows what that could even be going down to. I mean, it's kind of anyone's guess at this point. But I mean, when you look at prices like this, you can definitely tell it's going to be reflected upon in every single facet of your life. It just depends on how long it's going to take for that to trickle down to you. You're already seeing at the pump. How long is it going to take for these corporations and these companies to start changing the pricing of bread, eggs, milk? I mean, you name it, all of the stuff that you need, because it's costing them more to ship it in. It's costing them more to truck it in. Make sense? Like, that's just how it works. They don't eat this shit. They try to profit off it more. Okay? And then you guys suffer. We suffer. Oh, thank you so much. Who became a new member? I missed it in there. Thank you, Salt of the Red Earth, for becoming a new member on YouTube there. Appreciate that. And you guys, too, can contribute, become YouTube members. You can sign up at patreon.com. We try to do things the right way. No sponsors, no ads, no fucking corporate backers, and, anything hidden behind a paywall. You don't have to pay for my Substack. Basically, if you find a benefit, if you find it, informational or, educational in some way, shape, or form, this show, and you have $1 or $2 to contribute, we ask that you reach out via Venmo, or throw it in the chat here on YouTube, whatever you can do. If you're in the financial position to do so, we try to do it the right way here. It's a struggle, but it helps us kind of stay independent and make sure that we can have our own voice, and we're not being controlled or manipulated by any outside sources that would rather us not talk about a certain subject, or would rather us not speak about it in that way. Again, it's not the most profitable business plan by any stretch of the imagination, but you guys continue to be fantastic and take care of me. You guys have been ultra supportive, and we're just trying to grow this community, build this community, to take the pressure off of the OGs that have been here doing the hard work and keeping this show going for a long, long time. So help us get to 20,000 subscribers. You can do that by hitting subscribe. It's free to do so. Doesn't cost you a fucking dollar. So I don't know why you wouldn't. You know what I mean? So appreciate it. Help me out. Again, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, share it out, even if you can't contribute. But all right, let's go on after looking at the nonsense here of the oil and gas prices. What do you say we take a look at this ABC clip here, kind of giving us and detailing a little bit of what took place, what we know as of right now about the KC-135 and the 6 service members that did, in fact, lose their lives in this crash. Again, this is just what happens, the chaos. This is what happens in war. It doesn't necessarily have to be an enemy missile, an enemy bullet, or anything like that. I mean, just the chaos and confusion, and just the multitude of aircraft in the area, the multitude of people with weapons in the area. I mean, mistakes happen, accidents happen, things do take place. And again, the more that we continue to see, like, I think we've got 2,200 Marines now being sent in with 3 other warships. I think I have that clip coming up as well to tell us a little bit more about that too. So, I mean, this is expanding. Again, it doesn't make sense with the rhetoric coming out from Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth that they're running out of targets. We have no more targets to hit, but boy, are we going to be expanding our air campaign today. So basically today, as Pete Hegseth was saying, it's supposed to be the biggest yet. We're sending in 2,200 Marines, right? We're sending in more warships. We're sending in more fucking planes. Doesn't make sense, really, when you look at the rhetoric of saying we're running out of targets to hit. We've taken out everybody. We've taken out the Navy. We've taken out the missiles. We've taken out this. Well, then why the fuck are you continuously sending more and more troops into the area? Why are you continuously sending more and more aircraft? And why is this bombing campaign continuously getting bigger and bigger? You know what I mean? It doesn't really make sense. But again, that's what we've seen this entire time, is just bullshit rhetoric that makes absolutely no sense with the last thing that they said. They keep flip-flopping. They keep saying things and they're not saying things. It's all bullshit at this point. They're just flying by the fucking seat of their pants, hoping that something, kind of just pops up that they can determine as a victory, something that they can use as pro-propaganda, anything at this point, because it's not looking good. We've talked about the oil reserves that have had to be let go. We've talked about the IEA and the 400 million barrels that they've had to fucking release. We've talked about just how long that will take before you even see an impact of that, which I believe it was something like 120 days. So again, this whole thing is a disaster. This whole thing is completely out of control. It is out of Donald Trump's hands, I believe, at this point. And again, let's just take a look here at the latest bit of chaos, the latest disaster that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are directly responsible for. And again, like I said, the blood on nobody's hands but this regime's, but this administration's right here. So again, this is ABC giving us a little detail into the KC-135, the two KC-135s that collided and the one that went down. So check this out. Hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. Again, I'm Boston Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, live stream, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know. Just hit the like button, please.
Tonight, the urgent rescue underway after a military refueling aircraft crashed in western Iraq. The Pentagon says two KC-135 refueling tankers were involved, one going down, the second landing safely. That plane would have had a minimum of 3 crew members on board, and there are no ejection seats. Officials say this wasn't due to hostile or friendly fire. The investigation ongoing. It comes as Iran's new supreme leader with a message, making it clear they'll keep targeting the world's oil supply. These oil tankers coming under attack off the coast of Iraq. Explosions and flames lighting up the night.
And again, remember this. Remember these scenes when you hear Pete Hegseth coming up in the show talk about how the first time that I've actually heard him mention drones in particular, but talk about how the drone launches are down to, I think he says 96%. Again, just keep that in mind. Keep these pictures in mind as we go through some of the, the footage and some of the updates in the news about some of the attacks that have taken place overnight and into the mornings, and then put that in comparison with what Pete Hegseth is going to tell you as far as the Iranian capabilities. And again, I don't know, even if it is the case that they're down 96%, look at how effective they can be with just 4% of that, right? Which is what we've continuously told you. They don't need a United States-sized military. They don't need a blitzkrieg type of offensive. They don't need a Leningrad type of siege in order to impact what they want to impact, in order to put the pressure on the United States, on not only our economy, but also to have the citizenry of the United States continuously be putting pressure on Donald Trump. I think this is now down to the approval on this war is now down under 30%. I think it was at 28 or 29% in the last kind of poll that I saw taken. That's fucking bad, okay? And it's only happening. That's only continuing because of the stranglehold that we've seen the Iranians have on the Strait of Hormuz, their ability to get through the Iron Dome, their ability to strike the United States bases, their ability to take out the THAAD systems, their ability to take out the radar systems. That's a small chunk, but that's a chunk nonetheless. Right. And as long as the Iranians can continue to have that stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz, as long as they can make it, unlikely that any ships will go by there without at least being threatened or attacked, then it's going to have an impact on the world economy. It's going to have an impact on the countries that are getting hit hardest right now. And those citizens are then going to be putting pressure on their government officials to have this fucking stop. And that's their best plan that they have. And it seems like this wasn't fucking foreseen. This wasn't planned for, or at least appropriately planned for, by this regime, by the United States military or the fucking people in charge. Right now, there's no way, shape, or form that you can come out and say that they had properly prepared for this or planned for this and were ready for this, because they're scrambling behind the scenes to try to affect oil prices. They're scrambling behind the scenes to lie and say that they're escorting ships through the strait when that's not fucking happened, right? They're lying and saying, hey, just go through the strait like fucking Brian Kilmeade. Hey, don't worry about the drones. Don't worry about the mines. Don't worry about the missiles. Just go ahead on through. Grab your nuts and fucking, have at it, chief, while I'm sitting here in this cushy air-conditioned fucking studio on my goddamn couch. It's insane. But again.
Guy. Iran releasing dramatic new video showing the moment the oil tanker in the port of Basra, Iraq, was hit. The crew jumping ship to escape the inferno. Video circulating online. At least one person killed. And tonight, in his first public comments as Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, who took power after his father was assassinated, declaring war on the global oil supply. Vowing that Iran...
And again, we went through his statement yesterday. There's only one more portion of this I want to play. I think I want to go to 23:45, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. And this again is just kind of by the numbers, getting acquainted with some of the numbers that are coming from this. So check this out.
Welcome back. As tensions in the Middle East continue to intensify, aid groups are sounding the alarm about the ongoing humanitarian crisis, which has escalated since the start of the war. We'll speak with a guest from the International Rescue Committee in just a moment, but let's look at the situations across the region by the numbers. The United Nations Refugee Agency estimates more than 4.1 million people have been internally displaced in Afghanistan.
Again, that number is fucking astronomical, okay? That number is astronomical at this point in time. We're only, 13, 14 days in? Pardon me for getting those days mixed up, but again, this is just all confusing and mumble-jumbled into one big fucking mess anyway, so forgive me. But again, 4.1 million people, and I'm sure, again, as we talk about, a lot of these numbers are going to be on the conservative side, are going to be on the low side. Considering that we still have to boil down, we still have to dig down into what's been going on. We still have to get the reports, the details, right? So 4.1 million people internally displaced at this point in time, again, is just a direct, we have direct responsibility for all of that. Like we are directly responsible because of our actions in conjunction with Israel for the 4.1 million people that have now been internally displaced. I mean, we've seen shelters, camps, the UN. We've seen every single fucking human rights group out there trying to warn people of what's taking place. The actions in Lebanon alone responsible for some 800,000 to 1 million displaced people in a country that has what's Lebanon's population? Some 5 million-ish, 6 million-ish, right? So think of that, the percentage of their population that has been displaced already. And we're just starting to get this thing going. Again, if you listen to Pete Hegseth, if you listen to Benjamin Netanyahu, if you listen to the IDF, we're just getting fucking started here. And we already have over 4 million people being displaced.
Afghanistan, Iran, Lebanon, and Pakistan. The UN estimates more than 816,000 people have registered themselves as displaced in Lebanon, and that up to 3.2 million people in Iran were reportedly displaced temporarily. And the World Health Organization said airspace restrictions disrupted their ability to deliver medical supplies, including more than 50 emergency supply requests meant to help dozens of countries.
So again, secondary impacts, secondary effects from this, okay? Other countries not being able to get the necessary aid because of the shutdowns due to in airspace, due to obviously the missile and the drone activity. Right. So the secondary impacts, along with the price of fuel that we've seen, continue to see, but just things that don't seem to be weren't thought about at all, as far as things they need to look at, think about, and try to react to and defend against, if in fact they took, they went through with this fucking war. It just, nothing was thought about, nothing was planned for. As far as we can tell.
The conflict has also been devastating for children. UNICEF reported that over 1,100 children had been reported injured or killed since it.
And again, that's a fucking shame. Just an absolute shame. Over 1,000 children injured or killed in this already. As we've continued to talk about the strike in the girls' school in Manab, and the toll related to that already. Just in the first couple days of this engagement, this war, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible to think that our country, and again in conjunction with Israel, is responsible for this. For kicking this thing off. It's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. It really is.
Began, including 200 children reportedly killed in just Iran. At the end of last year, the IRC released its annual emergency watch list report for 2026, assessing the countries most likely to face a worsening humanitarian crisis. Lebanon was placed in the top 10 of those, with the IRC warning that a new conflict in 2026 would, quote, overwhelm Lebanon's fragile services and sharply escalate humanitarian needs.
Which is exactly what we've seen happen. We've seen, a new engagement, a new war take place again to an already, an area already under fucking enormous plight. Again, just as you heard, put on the top 10 of nations that were going to face humanitarian disasters. And this was before, again, any war was thought of or, thought to kick off in Beirut or any of these other places that they're talking about. But again, we continue to talk about this in, expanding as much as Pete Hegseth would love to tell you that they're trying to, buckle down on this, and this engagement is getting smaller and smaller. Meanwhile, we're sending in more troops. Meanwhile, we're sending in more planes. Meanwhile, we're sending in more warships. Meanwhile, today is going to be the biggest round of bombing yet, even though we're running out of targets. So again, put 2 and 2 together on that and try to create 4. But again, this is just an update here on the 2,200 Marines in the 3 warships that have now been ordered to the Middle East. So again, to kind of go directly against the rhetoric and the bullshit that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth have been spewing, as far as, oh, don't worry about anything, everything's a-okay, everything's really hunky-dory, we're running out of targets, their missiles and drones and their Navy and their Air Force, everything's done, don't worry about it. Well, it doesn't seem to line up with why we're sending 2,200 Marines there, or 3 more warships, or again, expanding our bombing campaign, and this is going to be the biggest day yet. Again, try to line that up. But here, this is another ABC just talking about the 2,200 Marines being sent in here.
Now the U.S. is sending 3 Navy warships and more than 2,000 Marines to the Middle East. What more are you hearing about that?
Diane, yes, we have new reporting that 2,200 Marines based in Japan will be transported across on 3 amphibious ships, which is pretty standard. It's called an amphibious ready group. And they normally patrol inside the Indo-Pacific area, which is Asia. But instead, they have been ordered and redirected towards the Middle East. What is important about this is that...
Now, wouldn't they be there for boots on the ground activity? Am I mistaken to think that there'd be really no reason to send 2,200 Marines to just go serve on the ships that are already in the area? Like, if they're putting together these amphibious attack groups, is this to, again, put boots on the ground in the ports surrounding the Strait of Hormuz to try to gain control over the airspace, or try to gain control over the strait itself in some way? I don't know. I don't know if that's been speculated on. I don't know if we've heard any more information on that. Again, this was kind of something that I saw just before jumping on. But again, it doesn't seem to me like this is ramping down, like this is anywhere near drawing down or being finished here. It seems like we're increasingly, putting more systems and ships and people and manpower into the area, as opposed to, again, taking it down a notch. As we continue to talk about this chaos and confusion spreading, as we continue to talk about how easily this engagement, this war, this fucking whole aspect could kick off into a broader conflict, right? If you're talking about World War now, wait till, again, more French bases or more UK bases or more Russian involvement, more Chinese involvement. China does something stupid in relation to Taiwan. I mean, you think it's bad now. I mean, just wait. This thing does have the ability right now to kick off in a fucking major way, and it wouldn't take a big spark for that fire to ignite. And that was another reason. That's another aspect of how dangerous this was. Again, the other bad players on the world stage that would take advantage of the political instability, again, of the the fact that the United States military was preoccupied in several different areas and several different wars on the planet at this point in time. That would be the time to strike. That would be the time to, again, use that political instability to try to overthrow somebody or take over power in this place or whatever it may be. But this seems to be the moment in time that Donald Trump has afforded to all of the bad players in the world to utilize this moment where the United States military has got their eyes focused elsewhere, and the world probably won't be able to react in time as we would if this war wasn't taking place with Iran.
These are ground forces. We've talked about ships, we've talked about fighter aircraft, but this is a ground force.
Yeah, but what is that? I mean, hit me. I mean, I know I'm not Marine Expeditionary Units, but that would be, you would only expeditionary on the land, right? I mean, am I crazy? Like, they would be trying to put them into spots and places where they think, drones are being launched from around the strait. Let me know. I'm looking for further clarification on what exactly a Marine Expeditionary Unit does exactly. And if we're trying to kind of predict boots on the ground here, or again, this is just, bluster, and they're going to be kind of on the ships that are already there just in case. You know what I mean? That type of thing. I'm not sure.
It also includes aviation.
Greetings from Southie, right back at you, my friend. Accidents waiting to happen. What's going on? I'll be seeing you guys. Well, I'll be probably going through there on St. Patrick's Day on my way to the House of Blues. We'll be going to see the Dropkick Murphys St. Patty's Day at the House of Blues, baby. Can't wait. Really excited for that show. Really excited to go see my good friend Ken Casey once again. So I appreciate you. Accidents waiting to happen. maybe we'll meet up at some point. Maybe I'll make my way down to Southie for the festivities at that point. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You might as well at that point. All right, let's dive back into this.
They also have F-35s and MV-22 Osprey aboard these ships. But from what we understand, this doesn't mean that the United States is preparing a ground force to go into Iran. This is just a capability, an option that is available to military planners because they always want to have as many forces available as needed.
Okay, so may not be the plan, but it's a possibility, right? So it's a backup plan. So wouldn't that be considered a plan, right? If they're just putting these, these Marines in there as like a force multiplier, so that in the case they needed to put boots on the ground, they'd already be there. But wouldn't that suggest to us that they're considering boots on the ground as we've suspected for quite some time now? Let's see. What is this? Ali Osher in the chat says, Marine Expeditionary Force pronounced with one syllable, the smallest United States. Each MEU is an expeditionary rapid reaction force ready to answer any crisis, whether it be disaster, yada, yada, yada. Name in the 1980s. An MEU normally is comprised of reinforced of USMC infantry battalion designated as a battalion landing on the ground. But that as teams as the ground, what? Landed on the ground, I would suspect.
And these Marine units, this 31st MEU, as it's called, brings a lot of options and a lot of variability to the table. Now, the question is, how long will they be there? And is it possible that we may see further of these units headed out to the Middle East as well?
And again, wouldn't that suggest to us that they are planning, or at least have in the fucking planning stages, boots on the ground being something that they're ready to do? They're ready to deploy? I mean, they would only be there to be ready to deploy. I mean, that's just, it makes no sense to me that you could say that they're not planning for that when, again, they're being sent there. Like, it seems to me that's a plan for that in that regard. Am I crazy for thinking that? Right? Am I crazy? I don't know. Just seems like if they weren't considering boots on the ground, they had no need for boots on the ground. There'd be no need for those 2,200 Marines to be in the area, right? If they could be rapidly deployed, then they could stay, in the United States. And if in fact they were needed, they could be rapidly deployed. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm wrong in this whole thing, but it does seem to me like boots on the ground is becoming ever more likely. If not in the greater territory of Iran, but at least around the Strait of Hormuz, because of, again, the economic impact, because of the pressures now seen by this administration, the pressure being put on them by the citizens here that are now feeling it at the gas pump. I mean, I think that would be hard pressed to rule it out as being something that they're considering. And again, as we see here that, the 2,200 Marines and 3 new warships are going in there. Again, it doesn't seem like a drawdown is on the table. I can tell you that much. But let's dive into this next clip that I want to talk about. Because this is, again, just kind of impacting, or depicting, I should say, exactly how far this has spread, exactly how messy this whole thing has become, and how impossible it's going to be, like I continue to say, to put the toothpaste back in the tube. Once this has started, it started. You know what I mean? And again, even if we take our forces out today, even if we were to take all of our ships, all of our military service members out of the area today, just think of the economic impact that would continue to be seen. Just think of the destruction that has been fucking faced by the Iranian people. And again, how many minds have been changed from the Iranians? Like, how many more people are now going to be hating America because their brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles were murdered because of the bombs and the missiles coming from the United States? I mean, this is just, again, the instability is not something that stops when the United States says, okay, our goals have been met. If and when that ever takes place. That's just not how it works. But all right, let me throw this on the screen. This is just a quick update from the BBC here on a little bit of what's been taking place in Lebanon. Again, I want to make sure we try to touch on all of the impacts that have been taking place and we've seen in this war, because it's greater than just the United States and Israel's bombing campaign in Iran and the Iranians' retaliation against the Israeli army and the U.S. bases in the area. It's much broader than that. And we got to make sure that we continuously stay on top of that. All right, let me see if I can throw this on your screen.
The US and Israel first struck Iran, killing the country's supreme leader and sparking a conflict spanning across the Middle East. There seems to be no let-up. So where are we in this conflict, and are the aims of the US any clearer? Let's talk now to our chief international correspondent, Lise Doucette. Good to always see you, Lise. You've covered wars and conflicts for many years. You've seen civilian suffering firsthand. Can you tell us a little bit about the actual cost of human life here and what this war is doing to the children of this region?
I think, Nomia, there's been a growing concern that even the language about this war has been very dehumanizing. The way that the U.S. Defense Secretary, or as he calls himself, the Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, talks about death and destruction every day. They talk about when they go after an Iranian tanker, they could have bombed it, but they sunk it because it's more fun to sink a tanker. And you get this sense of that it's almost a war game. And even in war, words.
I mean, you can see how this like sick, brutal, dehumanizing language has an impact. Again, not only with the way our allies look at what we're conducting, but the way that the world at writ large looks at what we're conducting here. And again, the ongoing propaganda videos to come out from the White House of like, I don't know, they're like Wii bowling now. They came out with a couple that look like Call of Duty, just kind of, you know, showing the missile strikes and the impacts themselves. It's really dehumanizing. It's really, really childish. It's really amateur and immature at that. And it shows a complete lack and total disregard for human life. And again, the seriousness of what they're undertaking right now. And again, the seriousness of what the impacts could be if we don't control this or try to mitigate to the best of our ability what's to come from this as far as secondary impacts of the war.
And of course, our colleagues, Tom Bateman and the State Department and other journalists continue to press American officials, including President Trump, to give clearer answers about what happened on the very first day of the war, the same morning that the salvos were targeting the compound of the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, and other security chiefs. They also, according to BBC Verify, a U.S. Tomahawk missile hit a military base in southern Iran, which was very close to a school. And Iran says that in that school and in the surrounding area, 168 people were killed and more than 110 children. And the United States just continues to say that they're investigating. And every day someone else is commenting that this should be taken seriously, that even in war, there are rules. And there are reports, too, that in all of the other countries in the region, most importantly in Lebanon, which is described as the Southern Front, children's charities are expressing concern about the impact on children there as children are on the run again, hundreds of thousands displaced, not going to school. Infrastructure is being targeted. Infrastructure is being targeted too in Iran, which means that the lives of everyone is affected, including the most innocent of all, and that is the children.
Yeah.
And again, when you hear of 800,000 to 1 million people being displaced in just Lebanon, I mean, it goes to show you just how many people are affected and impacted by this. You know, when we continue to call it, you know, the greater region or, you know, the Middle East in general, it kind of doesn't really give you a correct depiction of like just how many people are being impacted and face instability in their lives now coming and stemming from this conflict, stemming from the bombing campaign undertaken by the United States and Israel. Again, this was, look back not that long ago, and as unstable as you want to call what the Middle East was, it was a hell of a lot more fucking stable than it is right now, okay? Not only that, but the world economy was a hell of a lot more stable. You know, it's just, it's crazy to me that you know, the Republicans, again, in an election year where we have the midterms coming up, are still trying to defend this and are still trying to make it seem like this is popular to the American people, even though, again, the polling coming out couldn't be any worse for this fucking regime. And this, you know, the politicians know it. They're going out there to try to fight, you know, to try to fight the indefensible. It's just at this point, they're beyond trying to fucking paddle upstream without a fucking paddle at this point. It's just, it's indefensible. The shit that we've seen, the secondary impacts, again, the actions taken by the IDF, the actions taken by Pete Hegseth, the way that they've been speaking about it, the lies told to the American people, the lies told to the world, the change of goals, the changing and moving of goalposts. I mean, this whole thing has been botched from the fucking start. This whole thing it's just an utter disaster. It is an absolute and utter disaster. There's no other way to look at this right now. And again, look no further than this, and I'll use the Breaking Points clip here, if I may. And don't worry about the little pipsqueak, little weasel that's on your screen right now. I use this clip for their guest that they have on here, who, again, runs a Substack and seems to have some pretty good insight into the mistakes made here and exactly what we are not going to be able to obtain in this air campaign. And again, a little more insight into the secondary impacts and the secondary effects that we're seeing, and how it shows that this administration, this regime, was ill prepared or not at all prepared for any of these outcomes, and definitely did no planning to make sure that the American people weren't hurt the way that they're being hurt right now. So again, pay no mind to the pipsqueak on your screen right now. We use this for their guest.
Joining us now is Professor Robert Pape. He is a professor of political science at the University of Chicago, but he is also the author of The Escalation
Now,
Trap.
forgive me if you are familiar with who this gentleman is. I, before this, was not familiar with. I do believe that I saw his Substack at some point, but I did not put the Substack to the person. So again, just to kind of reiterate that,
Which is a Substack, where there will be a link down in the description. All of you should go and subscribe right now. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, sir, you are an expert, particularly in air power and in what you call the escalation trap. You studied, I think, every U.S. bombing campaign going back all the way to World War II, and you've talked
World War I.
World War I.
My book, Bombing to Win, goes back to World War I. I've spent years teaching for the U.S. Air Force conventional targeting strategy in particular. I have spent 20 years modeling the bombing of Iran. So this is something I know quite a bit about. I also study economic sanctions, terrorism. So all of that is why I built the escalation trap, because those frameworks I've been using for so long for chiefs of staff of the Air Force, for White Houses and so forth, I thought really time to bring them to everybody.
Right, which is why you're such an important guest for us. And we do have some latest news before we get into some of your theory about the escalation trap we want your reaction to. Guys, let's go ahead and put D1 up there on the screen. We have now seen an expansion of Iran declaring that U.S. and Israeli economic banking interests in the region are targets. We have seen this now repeatedly, sir, where we've moved from initial military targets to then the striking of either civilian infrastructure by the United States or Israel inside of Iran, now an expansion to the banking sector. So it does appear as if your theory about escalation and air power continues to spiral as this war now enters what's its 13th day now so far. So your reaction to this particular piece?
Yeah, this is confirmation of what I've been saying. So when states try to use air power alone to topple regimes, it has never, and I'm choosing my words carefully, never worked in over 100 years.
And again, this is what everybody was speculating. This is what all the experts were saying. This is what all the podcasts and political commentators that knew anything about anything were saying. It's going to be impossible, or very difficult, if not impossible, to do anything that they were originally stating as their goal. So the regime change was obviously the first thing that they stated. That's what they wanted. Going to be impossible to do with just an air campaign. Going to be very unlikely to be able to obtain that goal with no boots on the ground, without taking further action and without being there for quite a substantial period of time. But again, this guy seems to have some great insight, having studied all of the U.S. bombing campaigns, air campaigns, going back to World War I, and basically what we're seeing now come from that, and what wasn't ever going to be possible from that, and how kind of it shows a complete disregard, a complete, lack of understanding of the area of military strategy. But it goes on.
And we've tried many, many times. I'm glad to go through the cases, but what you get is often this lashback effect that you're not prepared for, because you're overconfident. You think you're going to win quick and decisively, so you don't prepare for the worst cases. And
which sounds exactly what we're seeing now, right? I mean, it sounds like the Trump administration didn't seem like they needed to defend, didn't seem like they needed a plan to get control or to make sure that the Strait of Hormuz remained open, because they thought this was going to be over in a couple days. They thought they were going to have all of their capabilities hit in the first few days. They weren't going to be able to inflict any damage. They weren't going to be able to retaliate with any drones or missiles. Or again, they didn't think that, and they were just too stupid to plan for that in the first place. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You're either incompetent, didn't plan for it, or you're incompetent, didn't plan for it, but didn't take any of the appropriate actions to make sure that you did protect that. So there's no way to get out of this without looking like you are incompetent.
Now the worst cases are coming, and so we're always behind. Now, what Iran is specifically doing in this lashing back is a horizontal escalation concept. It's actually a concept called parallel attack that we developed in the 1990s in the Air Force to use with precision targeting. And so with precision targeting, and they have precision drones, so we're effectively seeing two precision air campaigns collide for the first time in history. So their precision air campaign against us is parallel bombing at the same time, multiple nodes, not one at a time like we did in World War II. They're hitting multiple nodes in a network. They're treating their enemy as a system, like we taught in the 90s to treat others as a system. You see, this is what their intel has been scooping up. They've been learning from us and studying how to do this. And now what they're doing.
So he's basically saying that the Iranians are using our basic processes, our basic tactics against us here. And instead of trying to, go after a certain target, they're basically just going after a wide range of targets all at one time because they know it's harder to defend against that. And again, as the intel we've heard come from Russia has depicted, from what they've learned in Ukraine was basically just to overwhelm whatever air defenses, whatever capabilities are in the area, and that eventually some will get through. And again, that has kind of lined up with a more effective kind of percentage rate coming from the Iranians as far as missiles getting through the Iron Dome. We've seen there and talked about to great extent their ability to continue to strike U.S. bases, cargo ships directly, get through air defenses, strike radar defense systems and stuff like that. So again, goes to show that they don't need necessarily the capabilities thought to, again, inflict damage, to continue to inflict, instability on the world stage.
Is they're widening that horizontal escalation and those nodes, because the more nodes you can attack at the same time in parallel.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button too. It does really help us with the old algorithm. If you take the time out and share the show out to whatever social media platform that you guys watch this on, it would be a great help. And again, after the show is posted, if you could hit, throw a couple comments in the, underneath the video would be great as well. Also, there's Venmo up in the corner. $1 or $2 is all I ask. Anything above and beyond that is totally 100% up to you. No sponsors, no backers, nothing hidden behind a paywall. Don't have to pay for the Substack. I'm trying to sell you absolutely nothing here but the truth. That's all I try to get out here is the truth. So if you guys find yourself in the position to keep this show running with $1 or $2, feel free to shoot it over to the Venmo or sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me. Or you can sign up at patreon.com/Boston Brian. 3 great tiers over there. If any one of them fit your financial capabilities, feel free to hop in, and that'll get you into the Zoom chats that we have coming up too. So appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button at the very least.
More system shock you produce. So what you are seeing is Trump has triggered a lashing back that is now producing system level shock. This is one of the things I explained. And that system level shock is not just in Iran. It's not even just in the region. It's now going global. And so this is really probably going to go down as the most disastrous air campaign in history. We're not quite there yet, but we're heading to major system shock, and the panic that everybody's talking about with Strait of Hormuz. This is just the beginning here. You see, there's no control. The biggest thing I want to say, and then I'll stop, is that we've lost control of escalation. You see, one of the things,
and again, that's the point that everybody's trying to make. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are trying to, maintain this kind of illusion that they have this iron grip on the situation, and when they let go, everything will go back to fucking the way it was, right? And that's just not how it's going to be. That's just not what we've seen historically when things like this take place. It is ridiculous. It is insane. It is asinine to believe that's the case. And again, there are more than enough experts, more than enough, military professionals and people that do this for a living that are out there saying that, again, I hate to keep using the same phrase, but you're not going to be able to put the toothpaste back in the tube here, right? As to what is going to come from this, it's going to be hard to say. But again, you're not going to be able to go back just when the United States says, when, to the way we were before this kicked off. That's just not going to happen. We've already seen too much impact. We've already seen too much pressure being put on the world economy. And that takes time to even get back to the way it was, even if we were to stop this bullshit today, which is not happening, right? So again, he makes some very good points here. And for somebody that seemingly has some pretty good knowledge over the situation and what air campaigns look like by the United States, now coming out here to say that this will go down as the most disastrous air campaign in history by the United States. Again, his words, not mine. So somebody with more knowledge on the situation than I do, that's what he's calling that. So I just want to bring that to your attention. All right, let's dive into this next video because I'm excited for you guys to see this one. This was, again, I think very well done by Rashad Crenshaw. I was unfamiliar with Rashad before I saw this, so glad to be acquainted and affiliated or associated or introduced to his channel, I should say. That's the word I was looking for. And again, I'm not sure what his background is, not sure what his politics are by any stretch of the imagination. I'm assuming he has some military background, but again, like I said, I just kind of watched about a minute of this and said, you know what, we should probably watch this together. So I saved it for us on the show. So what do you say we dive into a little bit of this? This is him titling this video, Donald Trump Has Lost This War. So what do you say we get into it? Hit that like button. If not for me, for everybody else in the chat, because they like it too. Appreciate it.
Donald Trump, if he was ever in control of this war, has lost complete control of it. It is over. The United States of America lost this war before the first shot was even fired. Donald Trump has led us into a war that he cannot get us out of. Donald Trump has stepped in a pile of shit. Donald Trump is cooked. The Iranians have just recently struck a U.S.-owned oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians have now struck a U.S.-owned oil tanker in the Persian Gulf. And this comes about in the wake of Iran refusing to surrender after Donald Trump has declared victory multiple times. Multiple times. So Iran is now striking U.S.-owned ships in the Persian Gulf brazenly. Iran has been striking ships in the Strait of Hormuz, releasing mines, flying drones at ships. The United States has no power over this at all. I love my country. I love this country. I am an American. I love the United States of America. I am a patriot. But a man has to know when his country is in the wrong, and a man has to know when his nation is losing a war.
And again, there's been multiple people that have either served in previous deployments or are on active duty themselves that have taken it upon themselves to make videos, to come out on social media to say, listen, it took me a long time to recognize this, but in fact, we seem to be the terrorists here, okay? We seem to be the terrorists. If we're bombing schools, if we're killing children, relentlessly, without regard, if we're talking about it in the way that we're talking about it, like Pete Hegseth continues to reference death and loss of life and not going by international law, not following the rules of engagement and this type of shit. Basically, that just means we're going to kill everybody and everyone. Regardless if you're man, woman, or child in the battlefield, on the area, we're just going to continue to drop these 2,000-pound bombs on you. That's the only way it can be taken, and that's the way it's being taken by the rest of the world. But again, him to come out and say, like everybody else feels, we love this country, we're patriotic. But again, seeing what we're seeing now, we're just not going to be able to stand for it. And again, at least I don't know what side of the aisle he's on. I don't know his politics or anything, but he's coming out clearly stating that, what's taking place right now clearly shows a lack of control by the U.S. government.
At what point do we acknowledge we're not winning this? The Iranians were far more prepared than we thought. Far more prepared. Donald Trump and his camp thought another country of brown people, easy money, easy work, light work. We got this shit. Can't nobody stop us. They weren't prepared for the magnitude of Iranian firepower. The Shahed drones, the mines, the missiles. They weren't ready. The strategically placed strikes. Iran, they weren't just pot-shotting different things. They were ready. They knew exactly what pieces of economic, civilian, military infrastructure to hit, and they hit them all at the same time. They are trying to cause as much supply chain and economic disruption in the exact same time frame as humanly possible to put as much pressure on the citizens of these countries supporting this war against them as humanly possible.
He's 100% right. That is their plan. That is their goal. That is what they know they have in their fucking pocket still as a weapon that they can use and they can, and they can wield at any time that they want. And they don't need the power. They don't need the economic power. They don't need the fucking military power that we see the United States military having. Okay, I continue to say they don't need a blitzkrieg type of fucking offensive. They don't need a Leningrad type of a siege, right? They don't need the numbers of missiles, drones, ships. They don't need a navy. They don't need an air force, really, even to make sure that this fucking plan that they're undertaking and undertaking it well. They seem to be fucking, conducting this in a way where they're continuously being able to hit these ships, continuously being able to hit inside of Israel, continuously being able to hit the ports and the U.S. bases in the area, the airports at Dubai, all of these places that we've talked about. Doesn't seem like they need, like we've been talking about, the capabilities because of the number that Pete Hegseth and the rest of these idiots continuously say that they've taken out. Well, guess what? Still having the impact, still having the same effect on the world economy, still having an impact on what you're putting in your fucking gas tank as far as what you pay. And now that's going to be impacting and filtering into every aspect of your life. Again, whether it's groceries, whether that's fucking energy, again, whether it's housing, everything goes up with that. Everything that costs more to ship to you now, everything that costs more to have it fucking trucked to you. Those companies ain't eating those fucking cost increases. They're not. They're passing it down to you. So you're seeing it at the pump now, but guess what? It won't be long before you're seeing it in other aspects of your life too.
That is what they are doing. And it's even worse than we thought. The reality is that we have accomplished nothing. The best we've done in all honesty, honest to fucking God, voice crack. In all honesty, what we've really accomplished here is the further radicalization of the Iranian people against the United States. There are no riots. There is no revolution. There is no takeover. The Iranian
and in fact, beyond what Pete Hegseth says, like they're going underground like rats, as you'll hear coming up. We got a long show today. We might be a little bit over because I got a lot to talk about, a lot to show you still coming up. So make sure you stick with us. Make sure you hit that like button, please. I do appreciate it. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. If you're just joining me for the first time, I do very much appreciate your time. I know that's the most valuable thing that you have in your life. So for you to share that with me for any amount of time is very much appreciated on my end. If you could hit that like button, if you could subscribe to the channel, if you do like what you're hearing, if you do like what you're seeing, that would be a great boost as well. So very much appreciate you guys for not only staying involved, getting involved, and staying involved, but making sure that you guys are supporting independent creators and other people in this space other than just the big players too. So appreciate you guys for everything that you do, all the contributions, the mods. You guys are fantastic. Again, I could sit here and show my love for you guys the whole show, but let's go on.
People are not interested in being the lackeys of Israel and the United States of America. At some point, we have to admit that there are parts of this world that the tentacle of our empire just cannot reach. This is one of them. There is no, liberal democracy-based ideology of people waiting to rise up against the clerics and establish a Western-friendly Iran.
No, and like he said, basically all we've done is create more, fanaticism, right? We've made it so that they're more, fucking radical against the United States. We've made more enemies of the United States. The new fucking Ayatollah there had who was his wife, his sister, his cousin, a few other members of his family were killed in the strikes. You think he's going to be friendly to the United States? You think he's going to want to sit there and sit at the negotiating table with people at the United States in hopes that they can come to a deal? Right? You think the rest of these people that have had to be put into place to replace the leaders that were killed in these assassination strikes, you think that they're going to be friendly to the United States? You think more people are going to be, hey, chanting friends with America instead of death to America? Or is it more likely, much more likely, and almost guaranteed at this point that we're going to now have a more difficult time establishing relationships with Iran, with the leadership of Iran, to make sure that they can be controlled, to make sure that they can be talked to make sure that we have, I don't know, let's say a deal struck with them for like their nuclear capabilities, like we did before. But again, it's just none of this is again, everything he said there was spot on, and I appreciate his video and his commentary there because he's 100% right. This lost Donald Trump lost the ability to control this the moment the fucking first missiles were launched. The moment the fucking go button was pressed, the moment the go sign was given, Donald Trump lost the ability to fucking control the outcome of this and the dangers posed by this. And as much as Pete Hegseth and the rest of these assholes would love to tell you that they have everything under control, everything that we're seeing in the region shows us otherwise. Everything that we're seeing now in our own fucking country is showing us otherwise. And again, to talk about the instability in this country, let's just go on to a couple posts here that I want to talk about. We'll get into a couple of Pete Hegseth's comments and stuff, but let's start with just, again, the ridiculous nature of what this asshole continues to put on social media. This is one of Trump's posts that he put out there. We are totally destroying the terrorist regime of Iran, militarily, economically, and otherwise. Yet, if you read the failing New York Times, you would incorrectly think that we are not winning. Iran's navy is gone. Their air force is no longer. Missiles, drones, and everything else are being decimated. Again, keep that in mind as we continue to show you the ability that Iran has to, again, impact, strike, and create damage, destruction in different areas. And their leaders have been wiped from the face of the earth, even though it's the same regime still in place. Even a more fanatical, a more capable, a younger regime. Same thing, same fucking thing, just worse. We have unparalleled firepower, unlimited ammunition, which is bullshit, and plenty of time. Watch what happens to these deranged scumbags today, he says. They've been killing innocent people all over the world for 47 years, and now, as the 47th president of the United States of America, I am killing them. What a great honor it is to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And again, what an unfucking serious person, just giving an unserious message, sending an unserious message to the rest of the world, right? Watch what happens to these deranged scumbags today. As the 47th president, I am killing them, he says. And again, how is this, why are we still ramping this up if you continuously say you're running out of targets to hit? There's no more ships. There's no more planes. There's no more leadership. There's no more drones. There's no more nothing to hit. We're all set. Everything's been taken care of. Yet we're sending in 2,200 Marines. Yet we're sending in more warships. Yet we're sending in more planes. Yet this is now going to kick off the biggest air campaign yet. This is going to be the biggest day of bombing yet. What the fuck are you bombing? Just innocent people at this point? More schools? Were there schools you missed on the first couple days of the strikes there? Huh? Bunch of kids that you didn't kill yet? In the over 200 or so kids that have been killed in Iran, just in Iran yet, in the 1,100 kids that have been killed or wounded in the region. And I guarantee, again, that's a conservative underestimate of how many kids have been displaced, hurt, injured, killed in this. 4.1 million people displaced internally, 800,000 to 1 million displaced in just Lebanon alone. And you want to talk about how this is, within total control of what we have? And listen to the nonsense. There's a ton of clips that I want to go through here. I figured this is probably the way to do it so we don't subject you to the whole entire fucking nonsensical bullshit rant of propaganda that Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane had this morning. But we're going to go through just a couple of the prominent clips here, and we'll see if we can call them out. Here, the first one, he tries to again talk about how never before has a modern, capable military, which Iran used to have been, so quickly destroyed and made combat ineffective, devastated. We said it would not be a fair fight, and it has not been. Okay, so they've been devastated, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I want you to take everything that Pete's saying into account, and remember that when we go on to show some of the clips of what Iran has been able to impact in the last 24 hours, overnight, and into the morning hours. So let's check out this clip here by Pete Hegseth. Sorry, what's Hegseth? That's his name. That one.
Good morning. I'll start, as we often do here at the Department of War, with the bottom line up front. For the world to hear and the press to actually admit that the United States is decimating the radical Iranian regime's military in a way the world has never seen before. Never before has a modern, capable military, which Iran used to have, been so quickly destroyed and made combat ineffective, devastated.
Now, wouldn't you think it would be just slightly embarrassing for the Secretary of War Crimes here, Pete Hegseth, sorry, I'll get it right one of these times, for him to sit there and say, we've basically taken out all of their capabilities, yet they still have the ability to impact us on the world stage like they are right now? Like, they still have the ability to put so much pressure on the world economy that the fucking approval rating for this war is down in the 20s. Like, wouldn't that be slightly embarrassing to consider us saying, like, the most modern and capable military ever in the greatest air campaign ever undertaken is still now not having the ability to control shipping through the Strait of Hormuz? Like, wouldn't that be embarrassing? I think it would be embarrassing, but apparently these people have no shame. They're unable to be embarrassed, and they just continuously go out there and look like fools in front of the world willingly.
We said it would not be a fair fight, and it has not been.
You're right. It's definitely not fair when you lob a Tomahawk missile into a fucking girls' school, you fucking war criminal. Okay, that's not fair. We understand that's not fair, and we know what you meant now when you weren't going to go by international law, when you weren't going to follow the rules of engagement, when you didn't want to follow the Geneva Conventions or the UN charters, right? Now we know what you meant. You were just going to strike anything and everything, regardless. Fuck the intel. If the intel was unclear, fuck it. Lob a missile in there. We'll pick up the dead bodies later. That's what Pete Hegseth meant in all his fucking comments that he had, dehumanizing people and kind of, making light of the sacrifices made in this war. Here's another one that we got to dive into here. Here's Hegseth again. When we fly over the top of Iran and Tehran, fighters and bombers all day, picking targets as they choose, looking up, the Iranian regime sees only two things on the side of the aircraft: the stars and stripes and the stars of David, the evil regime's worst nightmare. Again, just the way he speaks about this is just fucking... it's incomprehensible at this point that we have these morons now leading us, and the world is taking notice, right? The world is now like petrified at what could fucking stem from this, considering the people at charge, considering the people that now have their fingers solely on the triggers here. Like, it's not fucking good, people. It ain't good.
Between our Air Force and that of the Israelis, over 15,000 enemy targets have been struck. That's well over 1,000 a day. No other combination of countries in the world can do that. So today, as we speak, we fly over the top of Iran and Tehran. Fighters and bombers all day, picking targets as they choose.
So as they choose or as you choose? Because, again, I thought you were running out of targets. I thought you had decimated and decapitated the entire fucking military. I thought there was almost nothing left for you guys to strike. But it sounds like you're more than willing to send 1,000, 2,000-pound bombs in there. And again, you continuously say that the jets and the fighters are up there just picking targets at random. Do they know what's underneath those targets? Or is there appropriate intel to say, hey, there's a bad guy in there? Or, hey, it's just a fucking girls' school? Because we don't trust a goddamn thing coming out of your mouth. We don't trust any of the numbers coming out of your mouth. We don't trust any of the rhetoric. We don't trust any of the fucking bullshit. We don't trust, the number of dead and wounded that we've seen so far in this conflict. We think you're lying to us about that too, to try to keep that fucking silent. And you've given us no reason whatsoever to believe a fucking thing that you guys have said or said that you've accomplished so far in this. Because guess what? Nobody's fucking seeing it. Nobody's feeling it. We're only seeing the bad impacts, the negative impacts of this fucking stupid, insane decision to enact this war.
As our intelligence gets better and better and more refined. Looking up, the IRGC and Iranian regime sees only two things on the side of aircraft: the stars and stripes and the Star of David. The evil regime's worst nightmare.
Yeah, shut the fuck up with your propaganda. Here he is. They're exercising sheer desperation in the Strait of Hormuz, something we're dealing with. We've been dealing with it, and this is where he says you don't need to worry. This is another one people have been talking about. You don't need to worry, ladies and gentlemen. Don't need to worry about, not being able to fill your gas tanks up so you can get to work. Don't worry about filling your gas tanks up, about getting the kids to school, right? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about if you have no dollars left at the end of the week because of the rise in cost of everything that you have to buy for your life because of the war undertaken by this administration. Don't worry about any of that. I know that we didn't plan for this. I know that they are absolutely kicking our ass as far as this fucking theater is concerned, but don't worry about it. This is another one people are talking about. Listen to this fucking nonsense.
Iran has no air defenses. Iran has no air force. Iran has no navy. Their missiles, their missile launchers and drones being destroyed or shot out of the sky.
And that's the first time. That's the first time, and I could be mistaken, but that's the first time, to my knowledge, to my recollection, that Pete has even mentioned the drones, has even referenced the Iranian drone capabilities. First time. Otherwise, it was about missiles and missile launchers. Didn't even bring up the drone technology. Didn't even bring up the drone capabilities, the drone launchers, the drone production.
Their missile volume is down 90%. Their one-way attack drones yesterday, down 95%.
Okay, so again, keep that in mind as we continue to take a look at in this show the capabilities and the strikes that we saw overnight. Okay, and then put that into perspective. If this is only about 4% of their capabilities, if somehow they were down and they launched 96% less drones yesterday, and they were still able to impact, not only shipping, not only the United States military, and not only the surrounding areas in Israel and everywhere else. But again, that should be a clear-cut indication, a clear-cut example of how much they really don't necessarily need to have, but in order to continue to, again, affect the world economy and affect and to put pressure on the world economy like they have been doing.
And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz.
I don't know. It seems like a well-calculated plan. It seems like a well-calculated, well-thought-out plan by people that knew this was coming and knew that this was a position that we were weak in, knew this was a place that they could strike back and have huge impacts, again, on the world economy. When, again, they could afford to lose their Navy. They could afford to lose their Air Force. They could afford to lose their fucking Ayatollah. They could afford to lose all of these other fucking launch sites that they had. But they still have the ability here. And again, it's not being brought up and it's not being talked about. They want to tell you that, everything they have has been wiped off and they can't possibly affect any change. Meanwhile, again, they're releasing 172 million barrels and IEA is releasing 400 million barrels. And, 30 different countries are having to release strategic oil reserves in order to make sure that the world doesn't go fucking absolutely batshit crazy because of the rise in oil prices.
Something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it and don't need to worry about it.
Don't need to worry about it, folks. Everybody is fucking on top of it. A-okay. We got the best and brightest on top of it, like Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Donald fucking Trump, Stephen Miller. Don't worry about it, folks. We have the people on this that we need to have on it. No need to worry. Just go about your daily lives. Don't look at the checkbooks. Don't look at the balances. Don't look at what the fucking things are costing. Just don't worry about that. We have it totally under control. That's what Pete Hegseth wants you to believe.
We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before.
Again, the amount of delusion in this administration is fucking under control. Here's where he claims that they've all gone underground as far as the leadership, which is pretty fucking hilarious considering there's ample video going around social media of protest and Iranian leadership actually walking the streets of Tehran in protest of what the United States has been doing and in support of the new leadership. Again, instead of protest against the leadership and against the government, like Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump were calling for at the onset of this war, they've gotten the complete and total opposite. We've seen nothing but protest in favor of, against what the United States was doing and in favor of the new regime, in favor of the new Ayatollah. So they're not picking up their guns and storming the government buildings, but they are picking up their fucking signs and heading to the square to celebrate the new fucking leadership and their newfound hate for the United fucking States. So congratulations, Pete. But again, here he's trying to get everybody to believe that they're all underground, they're in bunkers. And again, only because I'm sure he's probably talking about this because the new Ayatollah hasn't been seen yet, even though it's been reported that he was injured in the initial strikes there. So again, I don't know if he'd be too ready and willing to put himself in the public spotlight, considering what Israel and the United States are now trying to do. We just heard John Fetterman actually call for the assassination of the Ayatollah's son there, the new leader. As he's fucking just lost his ever-loving mind in this regard too. He sounds more like Lindsey Graham than he does anything that was put into place as a as a Democrat in his fucking in his state. All right, here he is where he talks about them going underground like an idiot.
Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually.
Likely disfigured? What the fuck is that? Is that like when Trump says their legs and face have been obliterated? Like, what the fuck? What is that? He's been disfigured?
But there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently, killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity.
No, bombing a girls' school is more like it, isn't it? Bombing a girls' school, that's probably more like it. It's more along your lines. There's one in here where he talks about that. Here's the one right here where he goes after the media. This is where, again, he's more focused and mentioned this before, again, the 6 U.S. service members that were killed in the KC-135 refueling accident there. Never brought it up, never honored them, never talked about them. But he did come out and right away want to go after CNN and the rest of the media because the headlines, apparently, that they're writing aren't favorable to the United States and aren't very favorable to Pete Hegseth. And it took about 2 seconds. I will give Dan Kane credit, because when it was kicked over to him, the first thing that he mentioned was the sacrifice and the deaths of the service members. But Pete Hegseth clearly didn't have that on the forefront of his mind. That wasn't what's really important. What was important to him is how he could propagandize this and control the fucking media and the way they're reporting on this. Check this one out. This is pretty remarkable when he goes on to say that the sooner David Ellison takes over CNN, the better. The Secretary of Defense now talking about how one of his fucking donors, one of his president's buddies should take over the media. If you don't think that this is fascism, if you don't think that this is authoritarianism, then check it out, because there's a fucking another great example for you to stick this in your fucking pipe and smoke it.
They're confused and we know it. Our response, we will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing. No quarter, no mercy for our enemies. Yet some in this crew, in the press, just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. People look up at the TV and they see banners, they see headlines. I used to be in that business, and I know that everything is written intentionally. For example, a banner or a headline, Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or...
Now, again, we just talked about 2,200 Marines, 3 more warships. He's consistently said that every day from now on will be the biggest day of bombing going forward. We've talked about fucking Israeli strikes in Lebanon. We've talked about a ship sunk with torpedo off the coast of Sri Lanka. Right. We've talked about how a Russian drone was seen hitting, I believe it was a UK base. I believe we have reports of a French base that has been struck, or at least had to have the ability to intercept the Iranian missiles, if I'm not mistaken, if that regard. So tell me how this isn't a widening conflict. Tell me how this isn't broadening. Tell me how that, the headline was incorrect. But this is him again trying to fucking strong arm the media in this country to reporting only what he wants reported.
Energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate? Because they are. They know it, and so do you.
Sounds like you guys are increasingly desperate. Sounds like the Strategic Petroleum Reserve release was a move out of desperation. Seems like the IEA having to release 400 million barrels was a move out of desperation, right? Seems like the defense of now trying to try to strong arm these ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz, like you've had Fox News try to do consistently, is a move out of desperation. Seems like you guys are moving in kind of reacting out of desperation, as opposed to the other side.
If it can be admitted. Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course.
Okay, then they just didn't care about the impact to the American people, right? So you did plan for it, didn't do anything to defend against it, and were ready and willing to have the American people pay the price for that? That's what you want us to believe? That's kind of the alternative to this? Because you're not doing a goddamn thing about it. Doesn't seem like you had a fucking goddamn plan for making sure that it stayed open. Doesn't seem like you can, readily recognize the systems that are being used by the Iranian military and the Iranian leadership to keep that closed and to affect the, the fucking destruction and the change that they need to affect. Doesn't seem like you're going after the right things, because if you've taken out 15,000 targets and you've taken out all of the fucking missiles and other launching systems, like you've had us believe, you've taken out the entire Navy, you've taken out the entire Air Force, and we're still fucking scrounging, we're still fucking scrambling and chasing after our tail, then apparently you're striking the wrong fucking targets there, Chief. Hate to break it to you.
Of course, for decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do: hold the strait hostage.
So how are they still being able to enact that plan? Okay. How, if you have total and complete control, if we're moments away from total, complete victory, how are they still able to control that position? How are they still able to affect what we've now seen as far as oil prices and gas prices? What are we at right now? 363? I think it says, yeah. A week ago, we were at 332 for an average. Now we're at 363 for an average. A month ago was 294. So again, you're just ready and willing to let the people suffer under the consequences of you having planned for it, but do nothing to affect change in that area, do nothing to defend against it. So again, only complete and utter incompetency is the answer here, other than what he's saying.
CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better.
The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better. Said by the Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreth, that one. Another example of a fake headline. This is another one where he talks about a real headline for an actual patriotic war press would be shrinking, going underground, like we just heard. Just an absolute fucking joke, told by this, just pure and utter propaganda. This is where he goes on to say that today will be yet the highest volume of strikes that America has ever put over the skies of Iran and Tehran. But again, line that up with the fact that they're really running out of targets. It's almost impossible to pick out another target they've hit so much. But yet we continue to ramp up the strikes. We continue to ramp up the bombing. We continue to send more troops. The number of sorties and number of bombers pulsing the highest yet, ramping up and only up. And quantity has a quality of its own. So again, this is him just threatening more war, telling us that this is nowhere near over. Unbelievable. Fred Wellman rightly says, this is fascism, as he points out, as he tries to, again, control the media. Bunch of other people here. Here's Midas Touch posting. They are literally out in the streets. There's the leadership, again, to combat what Pete Hegseth was saying about them being underground. And it goes on and on. There's multiple bunch of bullshit from that we could look at. But here, everything that he said, let's just take a look at that. Remember everything that he said, ladies and gentlemen. Remember everything that he said. And we'll talk about what's happened over the last 20 hours or so as far as strikes from the Iranian regime on different targets in the area. This is large fires are burning at the joint Peshmerga French base at the Makhmour area of Erbil in Iraq, following a drone strike that injured at least 6 French soldiers. And again, I tell you how easily this conflict could spread and could widen. Again, French bases being attacked, UK bases being attacked, could readily be thought of as, getting into a broader world war if, again, more aspects of the UK military, the British military, the French military start getting involved in this. And again, you just can see how it would go downhill after that. But here's kind of the footage from that. Just a short clip of the damage seen there. Here is kind of the reports of the loss of the US KC-135 that were coming in at the time. This is the CENTCOM's announcement of that. They go on to say here that the Camp Victory complex near Baghdad, Iraq, was also targeted in an Iranian drone attack earlier today. Again, showing just another piece of the puzzle here, just showing another aspect of how they're still able to contact and directly target these different bases in the area, even though they have no eyes, they have no ears. Apparently, they have no bullets, according to Pete Hegseth. But somehow they're just lobbing fucking drones out of their asses and strategically striking these bases by accident, apparently, because that's been reported there. That was about 20 hours ago. We continue to see here that, what's this say? A report from CBS indicates an Iranian ship approached the USS Abraham Lincoln, was fired upon by a Mark 45-5 det gun that missed several times before an MH-60 Seahawk was launched and struck by an AGM-114 Hellfire missile. So again, just showing different aspects of them kind of fighting back here. Let's see here. It goes on to talk about the What was another one here? No details. No, that was about the Dominion. Yeah, here's air raid sirens now in Bahrain. That was 20 hours ago. Video footage published by an Iraqi outlet, which appears to show two HC-130J Combat Kings with U.S. Air Force, which specialize in combat search and rescue, flying low tonight over western Iraq. I believe that was when they were searching the crash site. Yeah, they were searching the crash site of the Strata tanker that crashed. Here's reports of air raid sirens followed by possible explosions in the Incirlik Air Base located near Adana, Turkey. Unclear as the reports are coming in as far as this is concerned, what was responsible for that. But again, just kind of showing the widening impact of instability and chaos in different areas here. Here's a picture of the KC-135 that actually managed to land. And you can just kind of make out some tail damage on the upper tail there. Again, was able to land. All crew was safe and accounted for as far as that one was concerned. Unfortunately, different circumstance for the other KC-135 in the crew that was on that, as we talked about earlier. This is French President Emmanuel Macron has announced the death of Chief Warrant Officer Arnaud Frion from the Versailles. I'm not going to say that anywhere near right, so I'm not going to try it. Serving with the 7th Battalion of the French Army's elite Alpine unit, I'm going to go with, following an Iranian drone attack earlier tonight against a joint base near Erbil, northern Iraq, which included and injured 6 service members with the French armed forces. Again, just showing you the effectiveness and the impact that they are still able to have, even though, again, Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump love to come out and tell you that everything is under control. Don't worry about it. They have no ability to strike back. We have kind of eradicated all of their military capabilities, but that's not exactly what's being seen here by all of the news, all of the footage, and all of the video coming in. This is just from overnight, too. This is just the last probably 15 to 20 hours or so. That we're seeing here. Has another video showing what appears to be a ballistic missile likely launched by Iran in the sky tonight over NATO's Incirlik base located in Adana, Turkey. Just another video of that. You can see it just here coming in. So again, unclear if it was intercepted or if it did make contact. This is after Iran's newest wave of drone and ballistic missile strikes against Israel. Up to 30 people have now been reported injured following impact in Zarzir, Israel. Again, as we continue to take a look at their ability to get through the Iron Dome, which again has taken a huge hit as far as reputation is concerned, considering that we're only seeing a fraction of the damage, a fraction of the videos coming out of the strikes in Israel. As we've known, long known that they love to control and be able to control the news that comes out and what's reported coming out of Israel. So again, multiple reports out there to suggest we've seen widespread damage that hasn't really been allowed to be viewed, really. So again, we're getting these other videos to come in. Here's one of the strike. Here's only a 5-second video of the impact there. So again, it's a lot of these quick, short videos that are getting out there that people are kind of using to use as evidence of the strikes and impacts that are going on there. And again, the ability of the Iranians to get through the Iron Dome system. There is more here. Iran has now launched 44 waves of strikes against Israel and their Gulf neighbors, according to Iranian state TV outlets. Let me just see if I can throw this down there. And again, take all of this video and all of this reporting, obviously, with a grain of salt as it's coming from the Iranian state TV outlets. And obviously, it's impossible for us to determine when that video was taken, where it's from. But again, we can see the impacts. We can see the strikes. So again, they definitely do still have the ability to launch attacks and strikes against Israel, the Gulf neighbors, as we're seeing here through the video footage. So it doesn't necessarily need to be the exact number or that exact footage, but clearly still do have capabilities above and beyond what Pete Hegseth would love to believe they have. I'd love to tell you they have. Here's a new wave of joint U.S. and Israeli strikes now reportedly underway in Iran, as Pete Hegseth promised. Here's reports of U.S. strikes and Iranian-backed popular mobilization forces positions in Iraq tonight. Footage shows U.S. Air Force A-10s reportedly targeting PMF positions in north central Iraq. Yep. You can definitely hear the distinct sound of the A-10 in the background. So again, there's footage from that coming in there. We're just trying to make our way up to kind of current time right now. Here's more evidence and footage of the damage done to the KC-135 that did manage to land safely, and the damage done to its tail section. Again, I haven't seen, or I don't know if it's been reported what exactly took place. Does anybody know in the chat? I don't believe that KC-135s refuel each other. That seems kind of redundant. So I think it was more of a one coming in for landing, one going out for takeoff. I'm not sure if they collided because of that use of the same runway or what, if that's been reported yet. But I don't think it would be like a refueling incident as far as that's concerned. But again, we go on with the coverage here. We continue to talk about, what is this talking about? Red alerts are being discussed across central Israel. Again, look at the number of red alerts there. Depicting just how many have gone out and how many people are involved in the Iranian retaliation still. Here's reports of drone interception this morning over downtown Dubai, UAE, close to the site of the tallest building in the world and a centerpiece for the city, the Burj Khalifa. So again, that is something that's not going to bode well for UAE tourism, Dubai tourism in general, and obviously is going to cause chaos as far as that's concerned. We've seen the Dubai airport struck, I think, a couple times at this point. So let's see if we can get footage of this. So again, you can see the plume of smoke rising just behind the Emir building there, just next to the Burj Khalifa. So again, just to show you how widespread these are still to this moment in time. This is crazy footage from yesterday in the Nineveh Governorate of northern Iraq, close to the Kurdish majority city of Erbil, showing an American low-cost, uncrewed combat attack system, a copycat of the Iranian Shahed 136, striking a building utilized by Iraq's Iranian-backed mobilization forces. And I'll mute it just in case that's copyrighted. It's going to start. Let me start this over. You can see the strike and the impact. There's the drone going in. There's a strike. There's the impact. And again, reportedly in northern Iraq on that one. We can say here, then it goes into more of Pete Hegseth, what we don't need to get into. Definitely don't need to get into any more of that. Let's see here. Anything else that we need to get into as far as this is concerned? France and Italy have open talks with Iran, seeking to negotiate a deal to guarantee safe passage for their commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. People briefed on the efforts have told the Financial Times, again, showing the concern and the frustration and the pressure being put on the world economy. People are now trying to do anything possible to get their ships through the strait there. Let's see. I think that pretty much takes us up to current time. What's this one? According to UK MTO, a cargo vessel was hit by an unknown projectile 11 nautical miles north of Oman in the Strait of Hormuz. The vessel requested assistance, and the crew are in the process of evacuating the vessel. Authorities are investigating following a fire on board, now under control as a number of crew remain unlocated. That was 6 hours ago now at this point. That was the Pentagon there. Here's where they reported the troops, the sending of the Marines there. Pentagon sends Marine Expeditionary Unit to the Middle East, as we discussed. Here's footage from that. The Pentagon is moving a Marine Expeditionary Unit to the Middle East as Iran steps up its attacks on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, according to two officials who spoke with the Wall Street Journal. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth approved the request from U.S. CENTCOM for Expeditionary Unit, typically consisting of 2,500 Marines, to be deployed near Iran, with the Marines believed to be coming from Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center in 29 Palms, California. So again, there's footage depicting that. During this morning's press conference, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff revealed that MGM 140 Act, we don't need to talk about that. U.S. CENTCOM Iran, here it is, and there's another one. Iran targeted central Israel with cluster munitions again amidst their newest wave of strikes against Israel and their Gulf neighbors. Israel's Home Front Command has declared to the all clear following the latest wave of Iranian strikes on the Mediterranean nation. And again, it just shows it's just instance after instance after instance. Talking about the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Defense announced tracking and interception of 6 Iranian drones. What's this one? The Saudi Arabian Ministry of Defense announced tracking of an interception of 2 Iranian drones. It just continues. After Iran's latest ballistic missile strike on central Israel, damage can be seen in one town as fires burn after an impact of a missile. So again, it's a lot of these like short, few second clips that we're managing to get out of there and see kind of the impact and the damage done inside of Israel. Following reports that the U.S. has sent a sizable Marine Corps element to the Middle East, the IRGC has said that they had targeted troop concentrations in Erbil, Iraq, El Dhafra, and the UAE. So again, those strikes in response to the Marines now being sent to the area. Obviously, a clear escalation on both sides there. Let's see here. What else? Explosions can be heard now in Tehran, Iran, as the Israeli Defense Force has announced a new wave of widespread strikes in Tehran. That was an hour ago. What's this Trump quote? You think Putin is helping Iran, President Trump? I think he might be helping them a bit. Yeah, I guess. Oh, Jesus Christ. So he actually acknowledges it here? What's he say? Oh, this is on with his fucking, I was going to cover this, but I didn't see too much of it. So this is on with his little interview with Kilmeade, I want to say. I think this was this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what this is about.
You think Putin is helping him?
I think he might be helping him a little bit, yeah, I guess. And he probably thinks we're helping Ukraine, right?
And you are, right?
Yeah, we're helping him also. And so he says that. And China would say the same thing. You know, it's like, hey, they do it and we do it, in all fairness.
Jesus fucking Christ. You know what he's saying right now. In all fairness, right now he's acknowledging that Russia and China are using their capabilities to help Iran target United States military fucking service members, to help them wipe them off the map, to strike our bases, to cause instability, on the world economy, right? To stop the shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. And he says it's all in fairness. All in fairness. Right? Unfucking believable. At first, what's he say? The first thing he says, you think Putin is helping them? And he says, yeah, I think they might be helping him a little bit. Yeah, I guess. It's already been widely reported. There's nothing to guess about. There's nothing to fucking guess. It's been widely known and widely reported, not only the conjunction and the cooperation between Iran and Russia, but also the new reporting of them helping not only pick out different targets, but also helping them, strike those targets, and also giving them, a beneficial intel in how to get around the air defense systems and the Iron Dome threat itself. And he's sitting there saying, well, the shit that we're doing and helping Ukraine, it's kind of like an eye for an eye. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to fucking yell at him? What am I supposed to do? Put sanctions on him? What am I supposed to do? Put pressure on him to end the war in Ukraine and to stop helping Iran kill our fucking military members? Jesus, unbelievable. That's fucking crazy shit right there. And again, I heard somebody talk about this interview before I came on, and they said you could tell Kilmeade was like kind of visibly, not upset, but like visibly stunned and kind of I don't want to continue to say upset, but not happy, I guess, with the answers he was getting and with the way that Donald Trump sounded in this interview.
Yeah, we're helping him also, and so he says that. And
well, DBD, you got to understand, man. You got to understand. It's not just the president himself that he has to maintain relations with. Like, it's the United States on a whole, right? So if Donald Trump doesn't fucking wake up tomorrow, like, he's still going to have good relationships with, the next leader. Or again, if this war continues into the next presidency, he's going to have a good relationship with whoever takes office after that. Like, he's playing this strategically. He is. He's doing things that we wouldn't necessarily do. But again, we're not a leader of a country under a fucking full-scale invasion at war that desperately needs the assistance and help of fucking, nations all over the globe, right? So we can't think of it like we're thinking of it. So he's attacking it the way he needs to attack it. He's utilizing whatever pieces of information that he has, and kind of, chances to butter up Trump. I mean, he has to do what he has to do. And I don't blame him for doing that. And I think he's done a fucking fantastic job thus far of kind of playing the game and kind of, making sure that, it doesn't go completely off the rails as far as the relationship between Ukraine and the United States on a whole. So it's tough for us to be like, well, why the hell would he be sending help over to help the United States? Well, it's because he can now use that as leverage, right? He can now say, hey, look, fucking, I was more than happy and more than willing to send my people over there when we're under a full-scale attack to help the United States and whatever they needed. So again, that is a show of support. That is a show of friendship. That is a show of, hey, how committed we are to our relationship. So again, he can use that as leverage going forward. So I don't blame him one bit for that. Not that you do. I know a lot of people have kind of are questioning, like, and kind of looking at it like, man, I don't know why he'd kind of extend a hand to us when we haven't extended it back. Well, he kind of has to play the game on the world stage like that.
China would say the same thing. It's like, hey, they do it and we do it, in all fairness.
That's fucking wild.
You think Putin?
That's crazy shit. That is crazy shit to not only outright acknowledge the Russians' help and assistance in killing our U.S. service members and targeting our bases, but the fact that you're just going to fucking, don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Wipe your hands of it. We're helping Ukraine, who again was openly and broadly attacked by Russia. So it's not like it's not the same. It's not the same thing. It's not the same fucking circumstances, okay? It's not an eye for an eye in any regard. So it's fucking asinine and ridiculous that he would even bring this up and talk about it in that fashion. I mean, Jesus Christ. And I'm sure there's more from this, but I won't subject you to it. We'll go on to let's go on to our next kind of, our next clip here that I wanted to talk about. Let's get into some Tim Pool, because Tim Pool, look at this clip, guys. Look at this fucking clip. Look at what he's showing. Looks like, who is that? Looks like Trump, Netanyahu, and who's the middle? Is that Lindsey Graham? Is that supposed to be John Thune? Who's that supposed to be? I'm not sure, but Tim's not happy here. This is titled, It's Collapsing. And he's got Donald Trump with Benjamin Netanyahu and the word gangbang. Just in case you're listening and not looking at what we're seeing here on the screen, the word gangbang is written across the screen with Trump, Netanyahu, and I can't tell who that AI person is. I don't know if that's Lindsey Graham or, again, somebody else. Looks like it might be a Lindsey Graham representative. I'm not sure. But Jesus Christ, how quickly this has changed, right? How quickly Tim's tune has changed from Donald Trump is the fucking Lord and Savior. Kamala Harris is the Antichrist. Don't elect Democrats for anything. Boy, oh boy, we need Donald Trump to come in here and lower prices and to stop us from these forever wars and these foreign wars that we continue to get involved in. So now look at Timmy Pool here. Look at old Dimmy Fool. In fucking March of 2026, title, It's Collapsing. Oh, shit. Can we just bask in the glory of how fucking quickly he's had to change his tune here? I mean, this is about as close to I fucked up, I was wrong, the Democrats were right, a video that you could possibly get. It's collapsing a year into the second term. It's collapsing because of Benjamin Netanyahu and fucking Miss Lindsay and the neocons and the warmongers that you were lied to about. You know what I mean? Like, can we just come on? Let's just soak it in. Get the blood pumping here, right? Get the blood pumping. Couple smiles here. Let's fucking just bask in it. Let's bask in it, these motherfuckers. This is again the closest thing we're gonna get to. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I fucked up. I'm a moron from people like Tim Pool that we're gonna get. But this is again a year into Trump's presidency, second term. He's got to have a video titled "It's Collapsing" with Trump, Netanyahu, and Lindsey Graham in a gangbang. Didn't see that one coming a year ago, did you, Tim? All right, let's dive into this.
Maybe Alex Jones has the best take on what's currently going down with Donald.
Said nobody ever. Said absolutely nobody on this planet at any moment in time ever in the history of the fucking planet. Never.
Donald Trump, Lindsey Graham, Netanyahu, the war in Iran.
It is Lindsey. It is Lindsey. Correct. You guys in the chat were right. Correct. It is a Lindsey Graham AI representative. I couldn't tell because he's not on his knees.
And I'll start by saying that there is a divide on the right over the war in Iran.
Is there a divide on the right? It's almost like a civil war that we've been talking about, right? Almost like that big fracture in the MAGA cult that we've been talking about on Blunt Politics for fucking what, months at this time? At this point, we've been talking about this for a long time.
There are many people that are in favor of Donald Trump striking this country, taking out their leadership. And according to the latest news reports, I'm going to go ahead and say I think the Ayatollah's son is dead. So like the new Ayatollah.
Yeah, because we all know how you've been doing on predictions in the past. So again, just by all means, stick your neck out there again and predict this one, because anybody's going to listen to you at this point.
Is dead. Apparently, this guy was wounded in an assassination attempt and then just disappeared and has never been seen again. Rumors after the strike was that...
What do you want him to fucking wheel his hospital bed out? You want him to go out there and protest in his hospital bed? I mean, again, when a guy's being actively targeted, like I'm sure Israel is ongoing and trying to target him at this point, I don't think he's necessarily too fucking, ready to get out there in front of crowds at this moment in time. I don't think I would be either, right? I'd be about as far underground as you could possibly have me. Again, if he's recovering from injuries, he's obviously had family members that were killed in the strikes as well. So again, not saying he's alive. I don't know myself. Obviously, I don't think anybody really knows unless you're, part of the leadership there in Iran. But again, don't be too ready and willing to follow Tim Pool's predictions.
He died, but Iran is claiming, no, he's just fine. He's just wounded. Then he didn't show up for apparently like some big ceremony where they're going to be, hey, you're the new Ayatollah.
And what would the plan by Iran there be? Like, what would the plan? Like, at what point would it become suspicious, right? Where he's not going to be on camera, he's not going to be seen. At some point, they'd probably have to address that, right? You think? At some point, if they were just making this up and the guy was dead, like, how are they going to continue to move this story along? Just curious on that one. Just an afterthought.
I said, well, it's because he's maybe he's in a coma. Maybe his leg was blown off. Now he's issued a statement. His first statement as supreme leader, and it was a written statement. Ain't nobody seen this guy. So anyway, I digress. That's the latest news. But there is concern that, look, many people voted for Donald Trump because they did not want to get involved in these foreign entanglements.
You don't say. You don't say. Where did they get that idea, Tim? Where did they get that notion? It was almost like, I think that was said by a bunch of people in his campaign. Almost like it was said 1.5 billion times by Donald Trump himself. It was almost like it was repeated on your fucking Russian-backed podcast 1.5 billion times to make sure that Donald Trump got elected. Where the fuck are you getting that notion, dipshit?
That's true. And if you watch a lot of the moderate comedian types, they're in that camp. My warning to MAGA is always in this line. Look, I'm a moderate. Probably
no fucking shithole. You are a moderate. My ass, Tim. Who do you think you're still fooling with this bullshit? You see how he tries to report this from like he's on the outside. He's just on the outside looking in, folks. He has no part in this. He's got no accountability, right? He played no part in getting Donald Trump elected. He's just a guy sitting on the fence on the outside, reporting on this like a good fucking journalist would, right? No. So that's why he says, like, well, my message to MAGA. No, you are fucking MAGA. You are the maggot of fucking MAGAs, okay? You have the most maggots filtrating around your fucking system. That is what you are. You cannot be removed from the boil on the ass that is fucking MAGA to this country, right? You have clearly perpetrated this to happen. You have clearly made this a possibility and have done ample work on your podcast to make sure that these 3 people that you are now putting on your screen with the word gangbang, talking about it's collapsing, you are directly responsible for getting them and keeping them in power.
The road, liberal on some economic policy and conservative on some social policy. So I'm right there in the middle.
Bullshit. No, you're not. Stop. Shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. Nobody believes it. Not even your fucking crew believes it. Not even the person behind that camera right now believes it. You're fucking lying to yourself, Tim.
I'm not going to blindly just march behind Donald Trump no matter what he does.
No, that's exactly what you do. That's actually word for word, verbatim, exactly what the fuck you do. Let me see how strongly you call him out in this video, Tim. Let me see. I'll reserve judgment. Okay. I'll reserve judgment till after this video.
But there are a lot of MAGA people who are going to, and I think Alex Jones kind of hit the nail on the head with the hammer with this one, talking about how Donald Trump is getting run through. It's kind of funny, actually. If not, I don't know, I guess a little disrespectful, but it's funny. Shout out to Alex Jones. He's going to be on Timcast IRL tonight. You don't want to miss it. But there are a lot of people.
I'm sorry. Is run through, is that a sexual reference? Is that where the whole like gangbang and Benjamin Netanyahu sexual reference comes into play? Because I'm still trying to work that area out.
Just march behind Trump no matter what he does. And I know a lot of people who watch my videos are in favor of these strikes on Iran. And I'm not hardcore yes, no on these things. I've actually said recently that what we've seen with Venezuela, it's actually turned out.
What do you mean? You're not a hardcore yes, no, so you don't have a position. So you don't have a position on this. You're just going to stick back. You're going to hold back and reserve judge. You're just going to fucking wait it out. Like you, again, have no accountability. You have no, part to play in where we are right now and why we're seeing this take place. You don't think this is bad. You don't think this is good. You don't have an opinion on it at all. Why the fuck do you have a podcast then? What is your fucking show about? Just absolutely nothing. Here's Tim not giving an opinion about anything. Enjoy for the next 2 hours.
To have been pretty dang good. And I know the anti-intervention people are mad about it, but the reality is we got back our oil assets. They were ours, and it looks like the region has
Sorry, what oil assets did we get back? Are you talking about the ones that we're going to need rebuilding and billions and trillions of dollars of fucking reinvestment in order to, make worth it? The ones that the oil companies didn't actually go down there and get involved with to the extent that Donald Trump said that they were going to, right? Not taking into account, again, all the investments put into Canada and how it would basically be them directly competing against themselves and those investments if they were to do anything that Donald Trump said was going to happen. So again, what was the benefit? We still have the Maduro regime in there. I know we got a couple 100 million barrels of oil. How's that working for us now? That seemed to be benefiting us at this point? No? Okay.
Destabilized, and it's pretty much over. So maybe this can work out well. That being said, I remain somewhat skeptical on Iran because despite the fact that it looks like the second supreme leader is dead, or like since the war started, the second guy, like his son.
And where do we go from there, Tim? What's the plan from there, buddy? Because they're just going to keep installing new leaders. And what? We're just going to continuously be at war in perpetuity here? We're just going to continually kill and fucking assassinate and bomb leader after leader after leader that they appoint? What the fuck? Where's the end game here? What are you talking about? Stop making sense, dude.
We don't know that the U.S. is going to be able to sustain this, and we're already starting to face some serious economic pressures.
Oh, yeah.
So people are pulling from their 401ks. Gas prices are going up. Trump says it's going to be over, but Iran's strategy is to just draw this out as long as possible because they know as an authoritarian regime, they do not have to deal with the whims of public perception. The American people, however, can lock.
I'm sorry. The whims? Settle the fuck down there, Lindsay. Sounds like you and Lindsay have been spending way too much time there together. The whats and the whims have been fucking whimsical. Oh, boy.
Trump up this year. So if Donald Trump isn't producing immediate short-term results, the Democrats are going to get in and they're going to shut him down, and Iran is going to win this. That's Iran's strategy. But let me play this clip.
So you don't buy, I'm sorry, are you buying the bullshit rhetoric from Trump and Hegseth that we already won this, or are you not? I'm a little confused on where you kind of stand on this. Seems like you don't believe it, but you don't want to come out and say that you don't believe it. But you also want to like reserve the right to say that Trump was right and like everything was fucking under control the whole time at this point, even though you recognize the instability, even though you recognize what's taking place as far as the chaos spreading in this fucking broader conflict.
From Alex Jones for you that I think is actually really funny. And then we'll talk about this MAGA civil war.
Trump's. I love it. He talks about the MAGA civil, like he's not there. Like he's not in it. Like, how fucking delusional do you have to be Tim Pool and to be like, you know what, I'll talk about the MAGA Civil War as if I'm not a part of it, right? As if I'm looking at it from a fucking the outside, like he's an actual moderate and people look at him to be a moderate voice in these discussions. Like, are you that fucking deluded? I'm sorry. Are you that fucking incompetent? I just can't believe it. But again, here's, what's he showing here? What is this, AI Trump?
Our wife, we're married to him. And then we catch somebody taking him away and taking him off to their.
I don't want to get a copyright on that one. So we can dive into this next one because I think we're kind of getting the feel here for Tim. And just to kind of point this out that it's not just Tim. Look at this. What do you notice here? What do you notice here about Don Jr.'s Rumble page, ladies and gentlemen? Is there anything that you could point to here that would allude to the fact that we're now at a war with Iran? Anything that would lead you to believe or point you to or give you some insight into or even acknowledge the fact that we're at war with Iran. Anything that you see here. He loves to, talking about credit card fraud, major wins against woke trans insanity. Tim Walsh was grilled on the Hill. He'd love you to know about that. This is the regime media follows another austere religious scholar. He talks to Byron Donalds there. But other than that, nothing here on his channel, on his page, to even suggest that we're at war. It's crazy how they're not talking about it. If it's such a victory, if it's such a benefit to the United States, if it's such a fucking, if it's such a it's such a good thing, if it's so overwhelmingly supported by the people, I'm surprised they don't bring it up more. But here's Tim talking about the SAVE Act, and we don't have to go into too much of this. I just kind of want to show you that he's talking about this as if he doesn't belong to this group. But this is where he goes after and rails against John Thune for quashing Trump's push to reform the filibuster for the SAVE Act. So I guess they've kind of ruled out the use of the talking filibuster. Excuse me if I'm getting that incorrect, but I do believe that's why Tim's so upset about this. And his video is called "This is Total Betrayal." So not only in one video is he talking about the utter collapse of the Trump regime in already its first year, but this is talking about not only the GOP, but also their betrayal of not doing what they need to do to push the dead on arrival SAVE Act. But again, like I said, we don't have to go into too much of that. We don't have to do any of it if we don't need to in that regard. All right, let's dive into this one though. We do have to dive into this one because boy, oh boy, are these guys really having to fucking deal with it right now. Okay, did you think that Benny Johnson here, our good friend Benny Johnson, would have a site that says, would have a video that says missiles explode on Jerusalem's most holy sites, Temple Mount in flames? Right, and his AI intro is quite literally, an Israeli temple, being impacted by Iranian drones. So, is this what he expected? Is this what he told his viewers that they could look forward to? Did he really prepare them for the retaliation? Did he prepare them for the secondary impacts? Or is he really feeling it right now and really looking like an asshole for believing Donald Trump when he said he was going to start no new foreign wars and was going to be the president of peace and everything was going to be cheaper? Check this out. I bet Benny Johnson didn't see this coming a year ago either. It's funny how the tables have turned for these bastards. Although it does look more like the that building on Jeffrey Epstein's island there. Isn't that what it looked like? Didn't Epstein have like a building on his island that looked something like this? It was like a separate thing where they used to go, I don't know, do weird shit, but I thought it looked, maybe it's not.
You ever get the sinking sense that you are sleepwalking through the end times and what we are...
Oh, man. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. From Trump is the best. He's going to lower your fucking prices. Everything's going to be the best. Oh, don't in a million years vote for Kamala, too. Do you ever feel like you're walking through the end times? Oh, my God. Do you ever feel like this is the apocalypse? Like Tim Pool just had a video we talked about, I think yesterday on the show, of how there were a couple of cabinet officials in Trump's cabinet that were eagerly looking for the completion of their World War III bunkers, their apocalypse bunkers. Like, to go from Trump is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread and is the only savior to God's green earth and is the only person that can save us from the Democrat horde or whatever the fuck that they were saying too. Now, all of a sudden, it's apocalypse bunkers. It's, don't you feel like this is the end of times? This is the collapse of it all. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, take it easy. I didn't see that coming as quick. Like, you guys even turned on him quicker than I thought.
Watching play out is simply God's design and revelation. Perhaps AI is the Antichrist. And
yeah, maybe it's above Donald Trump's power. It is just, it's out of his control. It is something that was necessitated and it was kind of ordained by the heavens. It actually wasn't anything to do with Donald Trump's stupidity of starting this war. Okay, it was something that needed to happen per Mike Huckabee. You know, if you want to see Jesus come back again, then Israel needs to be erased. And of course, that's what we're seeing. So, congratulations to everybody for believing not only Mike Huckabee and Donald Trump, but also Benny Johnson for being a gullible prick.
The war that we are witnessing right now raging in the Mideast, well, it was just bound to happen, and there's nothing anybody could do about it.
Yeah, nothing anybody could have done about it, people. It's really not like the United States and Israel actually initiated this whole thing when they didn't have to, when they were still in negotiations with Iran and the previous Ayatollah. It's almost like Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu together decided that this was the only appropriate action and that they needed to undertake such a fucking stupid war at this moment in time to keep themselves both in power, only it looks like it's having the opposite effect on that.
You hate to have been part of it, but nonetheless, God's plan is going to be God's plan as you watch rockets.
Again, it's God's plan, people. It's not Donald Trump. Don't be mad at Donald Trump for your gas prices. It's God's plan. Okay? Jesus wants you to pay $6 a gallon for diesel. It's in chapter 13, verse 84, Psalm 72. Okay? It is the Jesus wants $7 diesel. I think I've heard that song before. It's one of my favorite songs that they sing at church on Sundays. It's that one. I think it's definitely that one. It's the $7 diesel psalm in that one. But again, it is God's plan. Don't be mad at Donald Trump.
Rain down on Jerusalem, some of the holiest sites in all of Christendom and Islam and Judaism. You sort of get that sense that you can't stop what's coming. And what's coming is going to be Revelation itself. And now we've seen explosions on the Temple Mount. Iranian missile lands a few hundred meters from Jerusalem's Old City western wall, the Dome on the Rock Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. You can see here if you've ever been.
It's sad that your dear Fuhrer would allow that to happen. It's crazy that these two fucking maniacal maniacs decided to put everybody at risk, everybody in danger, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. Benny Johnson slowly coming to terms with, just how big this conflict is and just how destabilized the region is and the dangers posed to the people in the region. And again, the efficacy still that the Iranian military still has to strike these different portions, to strike these different areas in the region.
To Jerusalem, the scaffolding that carries up to the Temple Mount.
Holy shit, am I over already? Is it 4:10 right now? God damn it. How the fuck did that happen? Sorry, I just been... Oh, Masha, how are you, dear? How's everything going? Hope you're well. I sent you an email this morning. I figured you would be busy recovering, so I didn't expect a return on that. So I'm really happy to see you in here. That's good news. That's good news. I hope everything went well. Good to see you. Appreciate that. So sorry, I'm over time. I don't know how the hell that happened. But what do you say? Christ. Now what do? I got about 3 more videos that I was trying to do. What's today? Friday? That means I don't have a show till Sunday. What do you say? Should I pack it in? Do you guys want to go for another video? What do you guys say? What do you say in the chat ski? What do you think? Keep it going? End it here? What do you want? You guys let me know. Keep on. Go for it. Keep going. Go ahead. All right, fuck it. All right, what else we got to do here? All right, let's dive into this next. We don't have to subject it to any more Benny Johnson, but just before I go into our favorite neighborhood Russian, as we dive into some of the Ukraine stuff that we want to get into here, I do want to also bring this up because let me put myself full screen before I get in this. So I do want to recognize that not only were you guys great enough to get us through the NAFO campaign to raise nearly $25,000 to get a truck sent to the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade on the front lines of Ukraine, but there is never a time to relax. Obviously, there is always a time and a need to help. And again, the shirt that I'm wearing here, the Stand with Ukraine shirt, the sunflower shirt, from our good buddy Tom Doug Dagger, that is always in the chat, from Dagger Custom Apparel, is basically somebody that we need to be recognizing in not only the story but also the help that he has managed to perpetuate at this point. So again, if you go to Dagger Customs Apparel, you can get this in a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. I know a few people in the chat already have. But again, you won't see a bigger donation or contribution from each t-shirt given to any charity or anything like that, as far as I've been able to see. I mean, this is quite literally $10 from every unit purchased is wired directly to the Misto Dobro, which is the largest orphanage in Ukraine. Please watch the slideshow as it says on the website here, and it will give you some more insight and detail. Tom utilizes his mother's connections with the people over there to help these people directly. He's already raised over $31,000. And again, Tom doesn't really like me to make it about him as much, but he has done a great deal and sacrificed a great deal in this and trying to get this campaign off the ground with his T-shirt company, and utilized everything that he possibly can to get this. He's not gotten the help and support. I'm not going to go on to name any of the big creators that have so far rejected to help in this. At some point, I probably will, but I don't want to be seen as anybody kind of lighting a fire under the bridges here before we get into midterms, but who knows? At some point, I may have to weaponize the chat. I may have to weaponize the community that we've built here to go after some of these bigger motherfuckers that don't care about anything but the dollar in their goddamn pocket. So again, if anybody is in the financial position to reach out and to purchase one of these Stand With Ukraine sunflower shirts, again, $10 for every purchase gets wired directly to the Misto Dobra. You can look up the Misto Dobra and learn about more about what that is and what they entail and who they help. It is a great organization. It's a great place. It is 100% legit. It is going fucking straight from you to them. There are no other hands touching it as far as that's concerned. There's more detail on the site there. But again, anybody that is willing to help and is in the financial position to help, a $26 shirt, I believe they are, $10 of that gets sent to Ukraine to help the largest orphanage there. And not only that, but is a big boost to not only Tom, but his business, and would go a long way to support him and all the sacrifices that he's made and kind of make up for kind of the rejection that, unfortunately we've seen from some not only creators but some prominent and big platforms that you guys are well aware of. So again, shout out to Tom. Thank you for his services. Thank you for everything that he's doing and trying to help. And again, if anybody is willing or able to get out there and purchase one of these Stand With Ukraine t-shirts, it's a great way to help as we're kind of in between our campaigns for trucks. Right. So again, we'll probably be starting one of those up, hopefully not that long from now. Once everything kind of gets processed and everything gets kind of recorded, everybody gets their patches and stuff. Then hopefully we'll be in a position to start another fund, another campaign, and we can continue helping the people on the front lines. We can continue helping the people of Ukraine, the children of Ukraine. Again, where other big creators and other platforms aren't stepping in, I'm hoping to do something with the platform and the community that we've built here. So I appreciate anybody and everybody that has already gotten one of these, anybody that's thinking about it, anybody that shares this out, even if you yourself aren't in the financial position to purchase a shirt, then I would be, it would be very nice of you if you could just share out the platform, if you could just share out the website. That would be fantastic. That way, more eyeballs, more opportunity. And again, let's get this going. Let's see if we can help and reach out in any way we possibly can. And again, I will end that with saying that I am totally understanding. I get that not everybody's in the financial position right now to do so. We've talked about the rise in gas prices. We talked about how it's going to be hitting everybody else in different ways in the economy. So I am 100% understanding of not everybody being in the position to do so. That's why I ask you, just share it out on your socials. It's free to do so. And again, you never know who's going to see it and who will come across it. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you. A big thank you to Tom and obviously Dagger Custom Apparels for everything that they do. Make sure you head over there. Appreciate you guys. All right. Let's dive into our favorite neighborhood Russian. I thought this was pretty insightful. Let me take this off. My headphones are dying. My apologies. I think they're only rated for 2 hours, apparently. All right. So this is our good buddy, Roman here, the favorite neighborhood Russian. Awesome. He's talking. No, shut up, Benny. Sorry, Benny was talking in the background. But yeah, this is titled Russians Are Not Happy. Okay. And this is kind of just depicting, again, the lies, the bullshit, and the rhetoric that like Tucker Carlson. Remember Tucker Carlson went over to Russia and did like the whole supermarket propaganda, like, oh my God, they have bread. It smells fresh. This must be the best country on earth. Oh my God, they have lights and shit. Like he was just doing ridiculous propaganda. Again, not recognizing that if you step foot outside of Moscow, if you step foot outside of St. Pete or any one of the more prominently featured cities in Russia, that the lifestyle rapidly changes for any Russian outside of the city limits. So again, this is him just kind of depicting the plight and the frustrations of the Russian citizens right now. And again, we'll end this with this video here from Preston Stewart, just kind of detailing a little bit of Ukraine and how they've made a tactic change and how it's been quite effective. So sorry that I'm over, but again, thank you for sticking with me. Let's get into again. This is Roman, everybody's favorite neighborhood Russian. What is it? NFKRZ is his title. Let me throw this on the screen here. Again, he's got 1.25 million subscribers. All right, let's dive into this. Appreciate you. And again, this is titled Russians Are Not Happy.
Russians talk about these are issues of capitalism that also.
What would be great all the time I do this is if you started at the beginning. All righty.
The Russian people are not very happy right now. Even though the Russian government wants to pretend like everything is going A-okay and wants to create an image of a real prosperous and rich Russia, and they're spending record amounts of money on spectacle like Christmas decorations in Moscow so that foreigners then can make vlogs talking about how...
Now, does that sound like any government that you guys know? Right? Does it sound like any government that's trying to make the people seem like their lives are fucking perfect, like nothing could be better? Meanwhile, the extravagant spending that we've seen, like Pete Hegseth spending $93 billion in a month, like them spending, what was it, $7 million on king crab, $7 million on lobster tail, a $100,000 grand piano for an Air Force fucking general, and the list goes on of shit that they've spent ridiculous amounts of money on. Almost seems like our government and the Russian government are pretty compatible in the way that they go about things and the way that they lie and propagandize their own people. It's funny how the similarities continue to grow as far as how the Trump regime is run like the Putin regime.
It's the nicest, cleanest, and the most safe city in the world or whatever. The feelings of a lot of real Russians, especially those that live in the provinces, are actually quite different. In fact, on social media right now, there's a massive wave of Russians complaining and actually being unhappy about their life. Because a lot of people started feeling the repercussions and the consequences of the Ukraine war in their daily lives. Russians are massively complaining about the ban of social media and censorship, as well as rising grocery and housing prices, absolutely ridiculous mortgage rates of 20%, and also the fact that the government is basically destroying Russian small businesses, and a lot of people are forced to close. Hey there people, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian, and in today's video, we're gonna react to some videos of Russians on social media describing why they're unhappy with their lives, and try to understand why Vladimir Putin doing all of this is actually an epic win for Russia. YouTube sponsors hate political content, by the way, so if you guys want to support what we do on this channel, in the link in the description, either become a YouTube channel member or support us on Buy Me a Coffee. It helps us make more and better videos for you.
So again, it's in Russian. Let me get out of the way. That way you guys can kind of see it. It says, I don't understand anything in this life anymore. I'm tired. I see utility bills going up. Mortgages going up, Telegram slowing down, all social networks being blocked. It's like, I don't know, you sound very surprised for somebody living now inside of Russia. Like you'd think you'd be a little bit used to that by now. And then there's work with the salary of 40,000. I don't understand what to do. I don't know.
I decided to start with what the Gen Z of Russia is saying because it's something that might hit home to you guys. A lot of the things that Russians talk about, these are issues of capitalism that also exist in the West. A lot of people in the West, in America, they also cannot afford houses, they cannot afford rent and so on, right? But Russia has all of that and more on top. In Russia, you can also not afford to buy a house or to rent a house as a regular person, but on top of that, you also have a 20% mortgage. Yes, literally, because the inflation is so bad in the country that mortgages are just impossible to pay off. I have a video about this as well, actually. And also, on top of that, your government is constantly banning Western social media, restricting your access to the internet, slowing down the internet. So it's the same capitalist dystopia, but it is also the Soviet Union at the same time. So Russian Gen Z is just completely cooked.
I don't know how to live and be content with life in such conditions, she says. She's 24 years old. Is this a 24-year-old crisis or what?
Это кризис 24 лет одного президента. No, it's not you. It's not the crisis of being 24. It's the crisis of having the same president for 24 years. That's what it really is. It's not your fault. Here's another video of a Russian Gen Z talking about how his generation is completely cooked.
Я просто в ахуе с того, как входить во взрослую жизнь. Я Саша, я...
I'm going crazy trying to figure out what he say. Sorry, I missed it.
generation is completely cooked.
Я просто в ахуе
He says, I'm going crazy trying to figure out how to enter adulthood. My name is
с
Sasha.
того, как входить во взрослую жизнь. Я Саша, я 2006 года
I was
рождения.
born in 2006 and I am currently 19 years old for the second
На
year
данный
now.
момент мне 19 лет. Уже второй год я просто отслеживаю, сколько стоит
I have been tracking apartment prices and looking into mortgages.
квартира, изучаю, какие есть ипотеки, потому что мне бы хотелось в
That's
ближайшем
because I would like to have my own place in the near future.
будущем иметь свое жилье. Я думал, что если ипотека на 30 лет, но я смогу
I thought that with a 30-year mortgage I could afford it, but no, because the
себе это
mortgage
позволить. Ну, блядь, платеж по ипотеке 200 тысяч. За 100
mortgage payment is $2,300 a month for a studio apartment in Moscow, which is located in the suburbs.
в Москве, который находится за МКАДом. Не хочу говорить, что какому-то поколению было
I
легче.
want to say that it's easier or more. I don't want to say that it's easier or more difficult for any other generation.
Или сложнее. Я просто говорю о том, что
But I am
происходит
talking about what is happening now at a time when I'm 19.
сейчас, в то время, когда мне 19, в то время, когда я молодой человек, который очень хочет развиваться в этом мире.
At a time when I'm a young man who wants to really develop in this world. Again, it's a risk just making this video, just kind of posting this video as far as talking about the mortgage rates and how impossible it is. Again, this will be picked up like it was by, kind of Western media type groups, and it will be definitely talked about. So it's definitely a risk for these kids to be going on social media like this and posting this, considering the control that they're speaking about in these videos that Russia has over their social media content.
Ну, просто я смотрю вокруг, и мне становится очень грустно. И мне как будто говорили, что работай, развивайся, и потом купишь квартиру, все будет круто. А сейчас я даже не понимаю, как это надо работать, чтобы позволить себе квартиру, которая чуть ли не каждый месяц поднимается в цене.
It's increasing in price almost every month. And again, it's kind of ironic that none of them seem to have been bringing up the full-scale invasion that their country initiated, I should say, and how that's basically the main economic driver in what's kind of forcing their impact right now. Doesn't seem like they're ready or willing to go that far just yet on these videos.
It's just so fucking sad, man. It's so sad because it mirrors my life as well. I had hopes for my country at a certain point. I thought it was going to get better. It only got worse, and it only keeps getting worse. And once again, yes, this is an issue that also exists in other countries, but only in Russia do you get a 20% mortgage rate, okay? On top of also not being able to afford a house in the first place. It's cooked. Like, the economy is so cooked. And a lot of people, like business owners in Russia, are talking about it.
А вы обратили внимание, что творится в городе? Магазины пачками
And
закрывают.
again, this goes on to talk about, I know we're well over now, but this goes on to talk about how local businesses, small businesses are also shutting down, closing down all the time. Again, this is kind of just to depict the fact that the economy is not well, obviously, as we've known, and that it continues to be, a force for these people to speak out. And again, the more people that speak out against this, the worse off and the more pressure is going to be put on Putin and his government to try to crack down on this type of shit, which is why we've been seeing them try to push back against the use of Telegram and try to force people to their own little app that they've put out there so they can control what everybody watches, what everybody sees. They can fucking be aware of what you're watching and what you're seeing too in that regard. So again, the propaganda and the way that Russia does it, in the way that the United States regime is doing it now, are pretty fucking similar in that regard. Donald Trump saying that things couldn't be better in the United States, saying that basically it was the best year that the president has had in a term ever. I think he just said that in a recent interview. It was quite literally the best first year a president has ever had, said Donald Trump. I mean, again, what fucking planet do you have to be living on to even let that come out of your mouth, let alone actually believe that? Like, you must be seriously demented in the head to have to believe something like this. But all right, we'll finish on this, and we won't go into too much. I know I'm well over at this point in time, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me. But thank you so much for hitting that like button. Thank you so much for subscribing. This is Peter. Excuse me. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Preston Stewart. My apologies. And he has a little insight into how Ukraine has been changing tactics and making an old tactic and making it even deadlier on the battlefield. And again, sorry we didn't leave too much time to get into this. There was a lot to get into earlier on in the show. So again, we'll be catching up on more of this as far as the main show, the Sunday show is concerned. But again, just to kind of close out the show today, here's Preston Stewart talking about Ukraine making an old tactic even deadlier, which is, again, more positives that we can talk about, more positive things that we can look at, while also staying grounded in reality and saying that, there's still a ton of work to be done, that Russia is still advancing in places, even though we continue to talk about the territory gained by the Ukrainians. It's not to dismiss any of the hardships being faced now on the other areas of the front line. So let's stay grounded in reality. But here's another look at kind of the way that Ukraine has been able to utilize different tactics and change their tactics as the mission grows.
I keep thinking that drone warfare can't get any more terrifying, and then, of course, it does. So now we have a creeping drone barrage knocking out defensive positions ahead of an infantry attack. In fact, this is how Russia says that Ukraine was able to make so much progress in recent weeks. And more on that later, because it's sounding like Ukraine may have liberated up to 400 square kilometers in the Zaporizhia direction.
Let's go.
Now, starting out with this new tactic, this is being relayed by Russian mill blogger Belarusian Silovic, who's talking about hearing reports from Russian soldiers about how Ukraine made so much progress recently in Zaporizhia. Quote, essentially, the enemy used drones to create an airstrike fist. To put it simply, a massive airstrike, not with heavy
drones to create an airstrike fist. I mean, what a way to describe that technique, right? So basically just punching through with a bunch of drones like a big fist hammering through there.
Bombers, but with drones, 300 to 400 of them simultaneously.
Wow.
This entire swarm is used at a depth of about 20 kilometers on a narrow front line. A kind of
and again, as far as the drone production and the way that drones have been utilized on the front lines, like we haven't seen too much of the like swarms, right? Like I haven't seen or heard too much of like, you know, hundreds, 200s, 300s of drones being used in a mass attack like that. Like what do people always bring up? Like, you know how the Chinese do the drone shows? Like they'll do the drone light shows and it's like thousands and thousands of FPV drones going up and making shapes and designs in the sky and shit like that. Like that's what people imagine drone warfare will be one day, but we just haven't seen that. But now it looks like the Ukrainians are starting to utilize not only the amount of drones that they have at their disposal, but also the effectiveness that those drones have and kind of bunching them up together. I don't know how widespread this tactic is. That's why we're kind of learning this together now. But again, it seems to be the first that I've seen kind of mass attacks by drones utilized in that number, at least. You know what I mean?
Air preparation is carried out, after which mobile groups and consolidation groups move in. Behind them, drone operator teams advance, and the whole process repeats itself again. So a couple notes there. While he does use the term swarm, there's no indication that this is the autonomous drone swarms that we're thinking about with the future of warfare. So my understanding at this point is every one of those drones is being piloted by an individual Ukrainian drone pilot, but to have 300 of them operating.
Again, but it doesn't seem to be like, I don't see that being a huge distinction really. Like it may not be autonomous, but like, you know, still having that many drones up in the air, if each one is being, you know, driven or flown by a certain, you know, a certain pilot, and I don't think that's really like a huge shift, like, because I don't think we're that far away, or I don't think that they're that far away from having the capability of making it kind of all the way automatic or autonomous in that area. But again, the way that this is being utilized, obviously we're seeing the progression as far as drone use and drone warfare is concerned in this, and how the Ukrainians are, again, stepping up their tactics, stepping up the way that they utilize them, changing the way that they utilize them to try to keep the Russians guessing and keep them, you know, kind of on the back foot, so to speak.
In a small area at one point means that they very clearly were massing forces. This was not an afterthought. This was a planned operation heavy on drone pilots. For as much use as drones get all across the front, to have 300 pilots and drone crews in a small area like that is a lot. Now, this is very similar in a sense to kind of the creeping artillery barrage that first came about in World War I, or we really saw most deployed in World War I. And the idea there is you start close and move out. So in this case, they're talking about 20 kilometers deep along a narrow front line. Let's call it 1 kilometer wide for the sake of argument here. You would start by hitting targets right at the line of contact, the foremost targets. You ideally would destroy them, at the very least, suppress.
So again, this is just kind of a rough depiction of kind of, you know, relating this to the World War I artillery tactics and how the drones are kind of being utilized in the same fashion. They're kind of as a leapfrog type of thing, you know, utilize and kind of erase them on an area and then move up and then continue to do that as you continue to move up on the field. So you can kind of see the one-to-one connections and the way that the drones are being used as far as kind of the artillery usage in World War I as he's trying to get across here.
Make them put their heads down, maybe get up and leave, destroy those positions. You then slowly move that fire back, right? So you're knocking out targets in the first kilometer, then you're knocking out targets in the second kilometer, then you move on to the third kilometer. Again, think of a barrage rolling forward. Now, in World War I, what we saw a lot, and it's been used since then, of course, but kind of World War I is, I think, the best imagery of this, is you would get infantry troops standing up, advancing forward as that artillery barrage advanced. Now, there has to be a gap there because, of course, shrapnel goes in every direction and you risk a short round, which is a very common thing in artillery, especially with those numbers, and you could kill your own troops. So it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think there's any biplanes being used, Hawk. My apologies if that. I don't want to make it seem like we got biplanes flying around in Ukraine right now. I know, I'm just kidding. But yeah, again, this is just kind of the best reference and kind of the best depiction that we could use as far as kind of relationship between the two strategies and kind of how the Ukrainians are utilizing at this point. But I did want to kind of just make sure that we are keeping up
in
on
this case, the
positive aspects. I know there's a lot of negative that's been coming out of all these situations. So again, any positive that we could drill down onto, any positives that we could highlight in any of these situations are definitely going to be beneficial, not only in the psyche, but also the morale of the people watching and also of the troops involved in these wars that we're now having to cover right now. But yeah, we'll do more covering of this on Sunday's show. I promise you will be more to talk about as far as frontline updates, as far as movements on both sides. Unfortunately, as far as the casualty rates, what's been taking place there, who's breaking through, the weather changes and stuff like that, and what that means going forward. So my apologies for going so far over today. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. What do you say we get to thanking some people on the old Venmos if anybody was nice enough to send any over today? Let's see here. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Starting it off today on Venmo is going to be V. Thank you so much, V Sawyer. Profanity toll. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I know sometimes the way I speak may have a detrimental impact on how much YouTube kind of spreads the platform or spreads the show around. Sometimes they don't really agree with the plain speak. Sometimes they're not that apt to share that out. So that's where I need you guys to step up and kind of beat the algorithm in that respect. So I appreciate you guys with the toll charges there. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much, Tom and Victoria. Early St. Patrick's Day gift. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are unbelievable, have been unbelievable, and continue to be unbelievable. And again, please make sure that anybody that loves like the romance novel type stuff, be checking out Victoria's novels because she is fantastic. She has written a couple of those. And again, I'm sure that any number of people in the chat again, would love to get away from the news for a little bit and get their mind into something else. And that would be a perfect way for you guys to kind of take your mind, take the focus off the news for just a little bit. So always supporting people in our chat, always supporting people in our community. And I want to make sure that, we're all lifting each other up in that regard. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Claudia, as well. Claudia, for the $5 you sent in. Have a good weekend, Brian, from, do you want me to give out the screen name? Sometimes I don't know if you do, so I'll refrain from that, but it's nice that I know at least. So I appreciate you so much, Claudia, on that regard. Thank you so much, James, as well. Appreciate you and the $5 on Venmo here. Good work today, Boston Brian. Let's fucking go. Appreciate that, James. Thank you so much. Can I call you Murph? I'll call you Murph. I always like a good Murph in my life. I'm Irish. We need him in there. Thank you, Jeff, as well. Much appreciated. Much love Boston Brian, from Roxanne and Jen. Well, thank you so much to the both of you guys. You guys have been fantastic members of this community. Can't thank you enough. Again, it was great to meet you, Jen, when you were able to stop by and we were able to get lunch. That was pretty fantastic, and I do appreciate you. Hey, what's up, Treva? What's going on? Good to see you in there, Smiley. Good to see you in there. Appreciate you. Thank you so much again to Jeff and everybody else that was contributing. I very much appreciate you. And again, people for the last couple days, MR, Tom, Altar Boy, very much appreciate you and your contributions, dude. Thank you to Nancy. Thank you to Cindy. Thank you to Damon. Thank you to Tom again. Thank you to Nancy. Thank you to Linda. Thank you to Yakov, Roger. Thank you to Ricky, Teague, Helen, all of you guys for the last few days of contributions. You guys are amazing. Can continue to step up in a major way to keep this channel rolling. So let's get over here and thank some people on YouTube. Salt of the Red Earth, kicking it off today with the YouTube membership. And I do appreciate you very much for doing that. Welcome to the community. Welcome as a member. Hope you find a nice welcoming place in there. And I hope you do come back time and time again. So I appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you, Patrick, as well, for being here for 23 months, motherfucker. Appreciate you. Thanks, Brian. You're wicked awesome. And the mods are wicked awesome, too. Let's fucking go. Right back at you, Patrick. I think you are wicked fucking awesome, as I always say. So I appreciate you, my man. Congratulations on 23 months. Rocks. Let's go, Rocks. Gifted 5 memberships. You devil, you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your contributions, everything you do as a mod in the chat. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Bicycle Mike. Timmy takes orc money. Yes, he does. Sounds like a kid song. Timmy takes orc money. Yes, he does. Timmy takes orc money. Yes, he does. We're gonna have to come up with some lyrics for that. Maybe I'll put a tune to it. But thank you, Bicycle Mike. Appreciate you and the $2 contribution. Shout out to you. Shout out to JD for the 99-cent super stick. Appreciate you going right in the swear jar, my friend. Appreciate you again here for the $4.99. Working today with half the skin off my right hand, so don't feel slighted if I didn't greet. What happened? You got a flapper? You get a good flapper? Where do you get a good cut? Believe me, as a former construction masonry worker, carpentry worker, and a plumber, I do know what that feels like, bleeding all over everything that you're working on. Mostly when I was doing stoves and ovens, right? So like the new stoves and the new dishwashers and the new stuff that they put out, it's basically just a human hand cutting machine at that point when you try to install it. Everything is the sharpest fucking thing you could possibly get it. I'm pretty sure they use like knife sharpeners to make sure that the metal has like the perfect edge on it. So if you even graze your fucking finger on one of those things, you're bleeding for the next 7 days. But I digress. Don't get me started on that, JD. Don't get me started on that. But I appreciate you, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to Jeff as well. Might have to worry about doing things in areas with civilian populations. Of course, we've already started that. And again, 2,000-pound bombs aren't made to take out, specific targets as far as like, inside of the leadership is concerned. Again, that's to cause mass damage, mass destruction, again, to what can only be considered civilian infrastructure. Again, if all the military sites have been hit, if all the military sites have been taken out, what's left? It's got to be civilian infrastructure, right? So again, something to look at. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you. What's going on, Wes? The real good news is Love. Where's Bobby? Bobby Love? I don't know where Bobby Love is. I'll have to find him. But Wes, I appreciate you, man. I do. I really do. For the 333, for the long time viewership. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yakov, for the 2. Shout out to you, my friend. Great show, B. Thank you. Right back at you. Tell the missus and the little one I said hello, please. To the Nickel sisters here for 20 months. Let's fucking go. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you seeing you in there. Hey, Brian, amazing show. Keep up the great work. I will try. Only if you guys keep up the great work and supporting channels like this, I will be able to do it. SFL, what's going on? Appreciate you. War, environmental disaster with oil running into lake. Yeah, again, the environmental impacts of this is, again, another secondary impact that needs to be thought about as we continue to see, oil plants burning, fucking oil tankers burning, oil being, leaked into different bodies of water here and there. So again, the economic impacts is definitely going to have to be talked about as well. SFL, appreciate you bringing that up, and thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you, Tamara, for the $5 super sticker. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Very nice of you to contribute to the show today. Hope you have a wonderful one. And rounding out today is Karen. Thank you so much, Karen, for being here for 9 months. You keep it all real, Brian. I try. It's only because you guys demand that, right? You guys demand, the truth. You guys demand justice and accountability. You guys demand good insight and, in informational, informative kind of insights into this stuff. So, it's all with you guys and sticking around and, again, showing all the support that you show that we're able to continue to do this. So, Karen, very much appreciate you. Thank you so much to everybody else that's contributed. Big shout out to Marsha. Again, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're recovering well. Let us know if you need anything. If there's anything we can send over, I'd be more than happy to send it. So, all right, I'm out of here. I'll let you guys go. I think I've taken up enough of your time today. I'll see you guys Sunday on the main show. That's going to be 1 p.m. on Sunday. I know every other show is at 2, and it gets confusing, but 1 p.m. on Sunday, kind of like a football game. Just remember the NFL, 1 p.m. on Sunday, Boston Brian, Blunt Politics, right here. All right, hit that notification bell. It'll tell you when I go live, hopefully, if it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And again, thank you to everybody on Facebook. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to everybody on Twitch. And thank you to everybody on Instagram and everywhere else that you guys share the show out. It is a big help. And I am really appreciative of all the things that you guys do to make sure that this show keeps running and to make sure that all of these other great independent creators continue to feel supported. So thank you for including me into that group. And let's see if we can get to 20,000 subscribers sooner rather than later. All right. I'll see you guys Sunday. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat on earth. Thank you to the best chat on social media in the world, in the universe. all of that good stuff. All right, I'm out of here. I appreciate you. I'll see you Sunday. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive, but keep your head on a swivel, all right? Make sure you're staying safe out there. If you're getting out to a protest, if you're getting out to the no hands, no kings, a hands off, they should combine those and just make it one big thing. We'll call it a no hands, kings off or something like that. Something like that. We could work on the name. But we should just combine it and make one big general strike, one big protest, one big rally. But make sure if you guys are, getting out and involved in any of those things coming up, that you're staying safe. Okay, you never know who's going to be out there as far as fucking the rest of these idiots trying to fight back and stir up the shit. So, all right, I'll see you Sunday. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Hold on. I can't go away without thanking you, DPD. Come on. Thank you so much for that as I was going out there. Did I miss anybody else? Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. Karen. No, thank you, DPD. I appreciate that. 50 on the way out the door. Boston Brian, I have a very filthy potty mouth. I feel I am censored. Mofos, anyways, love you, Boston Brian. Right back at you, DPD. Thank you so much for that incredibly generous contribution. Very, very nice of you. Very, very generous, and does a lot to keep this show rolling. So thank you so much, and appreciate everybody else that contributed either through Venmo, which you can do on your phone, or again, signing up for a YouTube membership. Check us out at patreon.com/Boston Brian. Again, the YouTube memberships, the Patreon, definitely the backbone of this community, as well as everybody else that helps out with the chat, the Venmos. You guys are all really, really, really necessary and really, really important and really appreciated as far as keeping the show going. So DPD, wasn't going to let that go. Wasn't going to let that slide without saying thank you, my friend. So again, I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on Sunday. Thank you, DPD.
Special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. Proud to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out?
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Obama.
Get off my plane.
What in the hell was that all about?
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses. He says, wrecked him, damn near killed him.
eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Brian, yeah, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Oh, go fuck yourself. Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
What uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off! They're too bright. Turn them off! The big, fat, sloppy United States.